Alright, hello everyone. We're back. We are so back. A book from more than 3,000 years ago. Cool. Okay. Username. How's it going, man? How you doing? Okay, cool. Okay. That's been confirmed. That's cool. Leo-sam, how's it going, man? Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I read this. Okay, I read this. Oh shit! It is trailer 5. Fuck, that guy's right. Okay, I read this. There's no point in pretending I didn't. So okay, so that's been confirmed. That's cool. Milos, guess you're losing that mod. Why would you put that, dude? What the? Well, I guess no. I guess this is probably a fine comment to put. It just doesn't work for me because I have like a very specific tidbit of knowledge that I shouldn't have. That's so funny. Oh my god. Okay. All right. Milos is getting demoted. Actually, let me send this in the Discord. That'll be funny. Okay, hold on. Oh, that's funny. How you guys doing this fine night? DSV, how's it going, man? My theory has been confirmed because of this fucking guy. Listen, I didn't seek it out, okay? I know better than to read comments. I literally pulled up the video and it was the first one. Why are you using old snipping tool? Because I'm fucking old and I'm also on... it is 8 a.m. now where I live. Jesus, 8 a.m. Okay, so you live 10 hours ahead of me. So you live Western Europe, if I had to bet money? Somewhere around there? Yeah, so so guess who's getting... Milos is losing his mod powers. 4 a.m. Yes, your time I know, username. Your time I know. It's 4:50 in France. Right. Nepal. Oh, cool. Jesus Christ. Why are you up, DSV? We beat the Ender Dragon. Go to bed. We did the most accomplished... Well, I mean, we, as in the royal we. You and Ramiro actually did all the work. Me and Devil were really there for moral support. We beat the Ender Dragon. Between me and Red, I think we died 5 times. These two didn't die at all. I think I punched the Ender Dragon like twice. I didn't have any weapons because I died so many times I lost everything. I punched the Ender Dragon twice, did like basically 0 damage. Oh god, that was so useless. Okay, we're gonna react to the Leonard channel. Leonard trailer. So let me just get this pulled up and then we can do that, okay? Let me just move things around. We can make him respawn so you'll have your event. Nah, fuck it. It's all good. It's all good. I won't torture myself. Okay, I'm gonna move stuff around a little bit. I'm gonna do this. I will. If anyone hasn't seen it, by the way, the Leonard trailer is on the YouTube channel. If you're interested, let's check this out. All right, Leonard trailer reaction. Let's do this. Oh, this looks so beautiful. Like we saw this in the first or second trailer too. But what is this place, man? This is such, like, it's just a garden filled with roses or red flower, but it looks so beautiful. What the fuck? And thus the faded convergence. The faded convergence. I assume in this case he's referring to the convergence of him and Klein, probably. Milos, check out the Discord if you have a second. It is beautiful. My God, look at this. He looks handsome as fuck. History's wheel turns its inexorable course. Inexorable course. Wow, those are. I know he has green eyes, but those are really green. Jesus. In this world, there exist those ordained by Providence. Basically, this is the really, really big, wordy way of saying what was, I think, written in the novel as there are those who are born special. Or was, I think, the phrasing in the novel. Like thee, referring to Klein, of course. Like me. Oh, that is so hard. That is so hard. Oh, that is so good. Leonard, yeah, Leonard, I am special kid. And of course, like every I am special kid, I can't tell you why, okay? I am special. Like, okay, dude. Stay the fuck away from that guy. But of course, we love Leonard, so, you know, we don't stay away from him. Finally. It's getting interesting. Whose ass is he beating? Hold on. Who's the blonde-haired kid? Oh, wait. Could these be the... sorry if, for anyone who hasn't obviously read Volume 1 and is going to be Donghua only. Are those the kidnappers? Yes, thank you, username. I was literally thinking the kidnappers. Across from the Indigenous Family Journal. Leonard is slightly too feminine, but it doesn't matter. I love him. Leonard, I feel like, is supposed to be really feminine. Or I might have that wrong. That might just be all the fan art that I've seen rubbing off on me. When the bard put all his points into strength and Leonard speed blitzes him. Zenny, how's it going, man? Oh. This looks like a burning ship. What is it? When did Leonard have a fight on a burning ship? I feel like the only time we saw a fight on a ship in Volume 1 was the Beyonder that went insane. When was Leonard having a fight on a burning ship? Is this a Donghua only? God, I really hope they're not putting Donghua only content. They don't have the time for it. It may be the fight of Volume 1. Oh, maybe they're changing it up a little bit. So instead of it being the guy from the Beyonder Gathering in Old Neil, it's Leonard, Old Neil, and Klein. Maybe. Oh, that might be cool. Yes. I can't remember. Maybe change. He's special. He has a grandpa inside of him. A common chick. Okay. You think the Ray Bieber fight wasn't on a boat, man? It was in a warehouse. So this wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, that might be. It might be a change to... oh, the fight against... Tracy. The fingernail being tossed, wrapped in the hair. Yet within my breast. Why do you have a breast? Dumb joke. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm a child. Okay, I can't help but make those. Wait, hold on. What did it say? An unfolding epic stirs. Basically, that's his way of saying, like, I have a good feeling you and I are gonna get up to some good stuff, Klein. Yeah. I'm sure you had that feeling. Didn't work out, eh? I didn't have time to translate all this at the end because I was really in a rush to get this put out in time. Everyone basically knows, based on the web novel created by Gunfish That Loves Diving, something to that effect. Okay, that was really good. Leonard looks so beautiful. I am so curious what this damn garden is at the start. Oh my god, look at this. Okay, this does not feel like it's in 1440, but whatever. I really hope we get it done. Dude, DSV, I was hoping that was gonna be the next one. Dunn deserves his own, absolutely. Especially the fact that old Neil got one really tells me that I feel like at this point only 2 characters are left that require one. I would say Dunn and I would say Madame Daly are the only 2 that probably require one at this point, and I think that covers everyone in the cast that needs one. You could I feel like it's too soon to do the sons, even though I think the son probably I think the son was introduced in volume 1, but it doesn't make any sense to do one for him because he's introduced right at the end, if he's introduced at all. So the son, oh, does the son come in volume 2? I felt like it was in volume 1. I might have the timeline off. It was close though. It was like either right at the start of... No, I feel like he was in... He was, yes, in volume 1? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, but other than that, my god, this looks so beautiful. And he looks like he has the right amount of arrogance, like, for who he's supposed to be. And you know, this you know, standing against the pillar, looking all cool, like the Midnight Poet. That's what this fuck. No volume 1, but later compared to trailer 1. Oh, I see what you mean. I already sent all the... Alright, sounds good, Milosh. You have a good night, buddy. Neil, Audrey, all are present really early. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'll... Oh, yeah, exactly. So in that sense, it makes sense. So, yeah, it makes sense. I feel like Dunn and Daly are the only 2 that require one at this point. And then I think that'd be everyone. Okay. Alright, yeah, that looks awesome, dude. I'm so excited for this donghua. At this rate, it should probably be out in 3 weeks. And I can't wait. Holy shit. Okay, dope. 11 o'clock. Oh my god, we're done at 11 on the dot. All right, let's start reading. That worked out perfectly. Nice. Fuck, I forgot to add Cat Leia to the GIF again. Okay, fuck, I really have to do that tomorrow. Nice. I'm gonna go to sleep too. Your Discord is unfair. Hey. Again, no one that shouldn't have voted. Okay, Nagito. I didn't vote. The mods didn't vote. You can't really ask for more. Okay. Vice at it's democracy. Exactly, democracy is fair, but it's a bitch. And it's not even kind of fair, but yeah, it's the best system we've got, really. Bro, Ramiro voted? Wait, did he? He shouldn't have, but okay. Okay, Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina didn't show any changes to her expression when she heard Gearman say that he needed to consider it. She nodded calmly. No hurry. Okay, base to Ramiro. Okay. But okay, we'll do this. Based on whatever the result is tomorrow, we'll I'll take off one negative for Ramiro, okay? We'll do that. But even so, if you get 50-50, it's a no, okay? That's the deal you got to make. She seems to feel that I'm unable to make the decision regarding the transaction of this scale. I need to seek advice from the secret organization backing me. Is this a problem of me not being able to make the decision? This is a problem of not having the money. Klein lampooned and closed Grozel's travel. He asked in a deep voice, "Do you know who the author is? What happened to the people who last possessed the book?" I don't know. The fact that it's called Grozel, there's a link to Roselle in there, man. There has to be. Edwina walked in front of him and reached out with her right hand. She rubbed the cover with her fingertip and said, "The owners from before cannot be identified, as the sinking of the ship has resulted in the relevant information being lost to history. Similarly, we are unable to confirm who the author is. The book doesn't include the author's name. I've used some mystical arts to study it and discovered that the goatskin was created at least 3,000 years ago, before the cataclysm. That's why I believe it's worth 8,000 pounds. A book from 3,000 years ago. There's a dragon, an elf, a human ascetic, a Solomon Empire noble, and a lone soldier. These are all concepts from years later. A magical book that contains the power of prophecy? Or did someone especially use ancient goatskin to create it? But it's meaningless to do so. Is it purely a hoax?" Klein deliberately curled the corners of his mouth without any intent to smile. "The giant's name is Grozel. Could the author be Roselle?" "No. Roselle's name originated from a root word in Jotun. When ancient Fasak evolved into Intes, there was a second change, making it have a different meaning." Edwina explained in detail the origins of Roselle's name, which left Klein stunned as it felt like he was back in school. He nodded gently and asked, "If it's an ancient piece of work, I'm very curious as to why a frost dragon would be named the King of the North. What sequence and pathway does it correspond to?" Edwina raised her gaze from Roselle's travels and looked at Klein. Before the appearance of the first blasphemy slate, there was no concept of sequences and pathways. Furthermore, many creatures didn't abide by such arrangements. In that epoch, chaos and mania were the basic attitude to everything. Do we ever get knowledge on who created the blasphemy slates? Both of them? Because I'm so curious. The best option we have is no one. I will destroy you. We do? Okay, thank you, DSV. Some dragons might gather many beyonder characteristics related to frost, like a demoness's frost, a zombie's frost, and a weather warlock's frost. A weather warlock? Every question you have will be answered, which is why the story is many. Okay, that's good. As such, it would possess rather powerful strength and relatively high level. Of course, such a gathering would lead to death and a loss of control. That means that if it doesn't lie, it would definitely lose control and become a monster. However, a dragon is a monster in and out of itself. If there are similar products of this sort from the dragons, giants, and elves, then it can be understood why the second epoch is known as the Dark Epoch. Klein pondered for a moment and inquired as though he was talking to himself. This results in the wastage of beyonder characteristics. Edwina looked at him for a few seconds. Emperor Roselle once said this: "Whatever separates will definitely converge, and whatever converges will definitely separate." Dr. Z, how's it going? Weather Warlock's Frost. The warlock on the weather till I frost. So the username, we could definitely use jokes like that on the Discord. Join. Especially now that Milos might be losing his mod powers. Yay. Pathway. But is he losing them? We have to... Well, okay, here's the problem. So I made him a deal, and he said that, okay, if that turns out true, you can take my Beyonder powers, okay? So he said that. I think it still feels mean to do that to a kid. Because obviously it was so minor. Like, I can see how he sent so much art. Like, one slipped through his fingers, no problem. Plus, he is the art guy, and he does a good job. Like, okay, he couldn't make it to the stream, but he sent the art. So, I don't know. Right? More than 20 of his subscribers for me. So, I don't know how to feel. I could take it away, but it feels mean to do that to a kid. If I do a poll, we know how that ends. Milos doesn't exactly have the greatest standing in the community. It's like a foregone conclusion. Truly Wiz's strongest. Yeah, exactly. How can I not favor Dr. Z? This means that if it doesn't die, it would definitely lose control and become whatever. The Emperor said that before? I understand the first part, but that's a form of saying the law of convergence of Beyonder characteristics. But what does the second part mean? You're like Audrey with Klein? Well, not quite. Kind of. I understand that she has spoiled more than probably everyone else put together. But, you know. After the convergence happens to a certain extent, it would tend to separate and dissociate. When one doesn't belong to a particular pathway, the extremely chaotic convergent mix will cause a dissociation. The more chaotic it is, the more repulsion there is between the characteristics. I obviously have to put this in my notes, but I'm trying to figure out what that means. Such words aren't likely to be said by anyone. It's said that it's something that's spread out into the public. The last time I guessed from the Vice Admiral's usage of Roselle's dream spell and her last name that she's a descendant of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Edwards. It's very possible. That's ironic association considering I can't even buy a membership. True. Exactly. After the Emperor perished, their family escaped to Lenberg and gradually converted their faith to the god of knowledge and wisdom. What a good teacher. She answers my questions. Klein didn't speak further as he continued admiring the Vice Admiral's collection. At the same time, he had some thoughts. He planned on asking the little son via the world during the tarot gathering if he knew of the book Grozel's Travel. Of course, in order to prevent the hanged man from sensing something problematic with the world, and hence figuring out that something was amiss from the fool, he decided to communicate in private while blocking everyone else. After a brief excursion of the room, Edwina led Klein out and entered the captain's room in the dining hall. There's relatively special food. The relatively special food here is yogurt. You can add strawberry jam and other things. You can also directly add honey. Edwina pointed to the row of fruits outside. There's some dried fish that isn't bad. They come from the deep sea, species that have yet to be named. I don't know if I would feel comfortable eating a species that hasn't been named yet. As she spoke, she gestured for Klein to take the food for himself to bring back to the room. She then got up and made herself an example. Klein took some yogurt and added a few spoonfuls of honey. He then carried his tray and placed pork sausage, buttered bread, and other food on it. During this process, he saw a young man dressed in a white shirt and black vest, decked out with a flowery bow tie, looking more like an office worker than a pirate, approach the Vice Admiral and have a hushed conversation with her. The man had pretty good looks and almost blonde hair, other than the slightly black hair roots. His hair was neatly combed to the sides. His hair was very light lake green color, and his nose was sharp. He had thin lips that made him exude a trustworthy vibe. Don't be fooled by that guy's appearance. He's a wolf-fish in a can. He stinks deep down, Danitz whispered in contempt, having entered the pirate dining hall and arriving beside Klein at some point. Klein turned his head and glanced at him without saying a word. This was because he knew Danitz would offer to explain without him egging on. Without waiting for Danitz to speak, a man with a swollen waist beside him said with a crude and sharp voice, "He's the third mate, Jodsen. He used to be a Casanova and part-time pirate, saying that he would steal our captain's heart, but he ended up getting a beating. He ended up staying to be educated. Dog shit. In other words, he's a bad egg." "He's a bad egg," another pirate echoed. "Why do I have the nagging feeling that you're all the same?" Klein thought and said, "Flowery bowtie Jodsen with a bounty of 5,200 pounds. Sequence 6? As expected of the standard Gehrman reaction, Danitz glanced to his side as a lingering sense of fear was hidden in his contempt. "He's not that strong, but he's very strange. In my brawls with him, no. When in combat, fireballs can't be used. He will be able to fireballs can't be used, and he will be able to replicate my firepower." A very familiar description. Klein subconsciously glanced at Jodsen, and after some careful thought, he recalled the familiarity. "This is similar to a sealed artifact, blood vessel thief, found in Tingen City's Chanis Gate." Klein had already forgotten the blood vessel thief's artifact number, but he still remembered clearly that it could temporarily steal a Beyonder's power for themselves. The corresponding pathway? Klein retracted his gaze and discovered that Danitz and his two companions were drinking while looking in that direction. Thinking back to how Danitz divulged his sacrifice to Kalvatuo, Klein took a cup of beer and carried his food tray towards the captain's dining room and said indifferently, "All of you like her, huh?" Behind Klein, there was a sound of alcohol being spewed at the same time. He saw Danitz jump backwards through the corner of his eye, looking at him in horror, before turning his head in relief to size up his companions. They had unknowingly opened a gap between themselves as the look in their eyes turned complicated. They looked as though they had the fury of being fooled. Wow, absolute cinema, what a bitch. Wow. After a while, Edwina carried her metal tray back. She drank a mouthful of milk and paused before saying, "Danitz showed me the summoning ritual of your messenger. It mentions that a gold coin is a necessary component. I'm somewhat perplexed. Does it refer to lone gold coins, or from Intes or Fasak or elsewhere? Their weights are all different, and the gold coins are all different. And the amount of gold they contain is all different." "Lone's gold coin," Klein said before saying, "This is also the gold coin that's worth the most. It's not like I need to pay it myself," Klein added inwardly. Edwina nodded. "Payment also needs to be done when receiving a reply?" "Different spirit world creatures have different hobbies," Klein said. He knew that the Vice Admiral was a researcher of spirit world creatures, and he believed that she could understand what he meant. Furthermore, he wasn't lying. He just hid the fact that the messenger's owner could also pay for it. Klein scamming the usual, "Yes, sir. Favorite hobby for sure." Alright, thanks for popping by, Mikhail. I appreciate it, buddy. "Yes," Edwina very seriously answered. "I once attempted to find a messenger, but I could only use trial and error for the incantation. Not only was it dangerous, but it's very difficult to satisfy the requirements. I eventually just gave up. This is one of the reasons. The other reason is that simulating the power of the undead isn't enough to sign the contract. Your incantation has given me quite the inspiration." Klein ate his breakfast in silence without explaining a thing. This was the knowledge he had learned from Mr. Azek. He wasn't at liberty to teach it to others without receiving permission first. After a delicious and quiet breakfast, the Golden Dream approached a private harbor and dropped Klein and Danitz off. Danitz looked back at the shimmering golden ship and sighed. I feel like my friendship has sunk into the ocean. Klein pressed his hat and said, losers can always form alliances among themselves. He not only said you guys are bitchless, he also said you're losers who are bitchless. Wait. This is basically what he just did to him.
Oh, nigga don't hate me because I'm beautiful, nigga. Maybe you got rid of that old yee ass haircut you got, you get some bitches on your dick. Oh, better yet, maybe Tanisha will call your dog ass if she ever stop fucking with that brain surgeon, the lawyer she fucking with, nigga.
That's basically what he just did to them. He went, oh man, y'all need to get your shit together. Y'all are embarrassing. Get fucked. Danitz was unsure whether he should be happy or sad. After changing their identities and creating fake identification, they successfully bought tickets back to Bayam and boarded the ship. Klein finally had a private space for himself. He entered the washroom and went above the grey fog and began scanning through his believer's prayers. This time, the first thing that appeared before him was Kalat. Honorable God, we have discovered the whereabouts of the red-haired Helene. She is currently hiding in the Intis embassy. This has been confirmed by a laundry maid and a gardener. Oh, the plot thickens! In the Intis embassy of the City of Generosity, Bayam, Helene sat in front of a dresser looking at her beautiful yet somewhat frail reflection. She sat there in a daze. Her escape from the Black Death had been filled with anticipation and torment. She was afraid that any mishap would cause her to be discovered by pirates or adventurers, causing her to be caught by Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy once again, and making her lose all freedom. She would then never be able to return to her hometown and turn to this life she originally had. Only when she used the meager connection left by her family did she manage to hide inside her country's embassy and obtain a ticket to leave at sea, providing her some relief. However, this still wasn't enough to make her feel at ease. She believed that everything would only truly be over when she stepped onto the northern continent. So, what we know of Helene is that she is of some minor nobility, is that right? A red-haired girl of some minor nobility. She was previously, for some reason, on the Black Death, which is the ship of the King of the Five Seas, Nast. I'm thinking maybe she's some kind of minor nobility, like minor nobility, like as in they have a noble title, but like it's nothing extravagant. They don't have a lot of money or whatever. Like it's some minor nobility. Sauron family are the former royals of Intis. Oh, she's of the Sauron family. Oh, I see. Oh, I didn't know what family she was from. Damn. Okay, never mind. Chill. The Sauron family have the Arbiter pathway in their possession, I think, right? Is that right? Who possesses the Arbiter pathway? Lone's family and Augustus's family. What does the Sauron family? They're owner of the Hunter pathway. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Z. Okay. They're a angel family in your notes. Oh, thank you. Blessings stem from the exalted search of heaven and earth. Am I supposed to? DSV, just for the time being, I'm making you mod because I don't believe any other mod is currently present. With this in mind, Helene couldn't help but raise her right hand and touch her cheek, which wasn't considered fair but was sufficiently healthy. She realized that her exquisiteness had improved significantly since her time as a sea merchant. She felt like time had reversed, making her mistake herself as returning to her days as a young lady. My god, I actually can't read. In fact, after entering the lone embassy, the Intis embassy, she had an additional choice other than escaping at sea: cooperate with the Church of Storm, Lone's military, or the embassy. By using herself as bait, they could capture Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy. I'm trying a ritual to transmigrate. Good luck. Zaref, how's it going, man? Every time I wake up, this guy's live. You must sleep a lot, because I am not live for like 18 hours of the day, so. After considerable thought, she gave up on this plan. She even begged her family elder, who was an officer in the embassy, to keep the information of hiding her in there from others. Regardless, she ultimately didn't cause any actual harm. Many a time she indulged and satisfied me, apart from every night. But that's only on the surface. Amidst her recollection, Helene quickly blushed red. I slept for like 12 hours only. Oh, yes, of course. My apologies, good sir. Those intoxicating nights, the fiery passion from having limbs intertwined with each other, the unimaginable pleasure, flashed past her mind, leaving her unable to compose herself. So she and Tracy were together. Helene slowly took a breath before exhaling. I think... She shook her head and made her pining for freedom, her homeland, and her family occupy her heart again. She once again looked at her reflection and coiled up her drooping red hair. She then thickened her eyebrows with makeup and darkened the contour, making her facial features sharper and pronounced. After this round of makeup, Helene looked more androgynous, with a masculine air to her. Finally, she took off her clothes and used a cloth to flatten her chest. She then wore a white shirt, a black vest, men's trousers, and a double-breasted frock coat. Finally, she took a silk hat and wore it on her head, hiding the coiled red hair inside. At this moment, her reflection appeared more like a handsome young man than a lady. Her emerald-like eyes especially seemed to suit her get-up, giving her an alluring level of profundity. Helene patiently waited until someone knocked on the door. Yes, Klein is currently on the ship with Edwina. Helene waited until someone knocked on the door. She picked up her luggage and walked out the door. She saw the good friend of her senior family member all the way to the side door in the embassy's garden. A carriage was waiting for her there. It was to send her to the harbor, where she could board a liner and head for the Lone Kingdom's Pritz Harbor. There, she would make a detour to return to Intis. Helene had anti-tracking powers. She carefully observed her surroundings, including the carriage driver. Anti-tracking beyond her powers. Anti... No, I don't have that. No, I don't know. A thin and versatile local. There was anti-divination, now there's anti-tracking. A thin and virile local doesn't like wearing hats. His looks are identical to the one I met before. He looks a little nervous, but that's normal. After Helene did her final check, she thanked her family friend, carried the luggage, and boarded the carriage. As the wheels started to roll, she pursed her lips and looked out the window, watching one intense parasol tree after another being quickly left behind. This gave her an inexplicable feeling as though she was back in Trier. It was a huge city filled with sunshine, located in the region of the Rhine River and the Srenzo River. It was a radiant and enchanting scene with all sorts of roses. It was a place with bustling arts and humanities, a sacred land for artists, musicians, and novelists. Yes, Zareth, it is indeed out. If you're interested, it is on the channel. I reacted to it at the start of stream. Yes, no. He wasn't... I don't think he was implying that you spoiled it. I think he was just saying that you reminded me of it, Dr. Z. This was Intis's capital. After Roselle rebuilt it, it was in the true sense of the word a world-class metropolis. It was also Helene's hometown. She grew up there and often cried when she saw it in her dreams. After an unknown period of time, Helene started to feel something was amiss. The surrounding streets were turning more and more deserted and remote. As a sea merchant, although she spent most of her time in the Fog Sea, she wasn't too familiar with Bayam and the Sonia Sea. Being a Sequence 9 hunter made her sufficiently alert. Oh, she's a Sequence 9 hunter. Sequence 9 hunter has anti-tracking powers, I guess. I mean, it makes sense she's off the hunter pathway. Her family controls that pathway. Logically seems to track. Is this route correct? Helene moved from her seat and carefully asked the carriage driver. She was prepared to jump off the carriage and produce a fireball at any moment. A lot of Intesians have hunter powers. That makes sense. The carriage driver didn't look back as he continued looking forward. He said with a symphonic smile, "Honorable lady, this route is closer, and it's not easy to get into jams. As you know, Bayam was built years ago. Back then, there weren't many people or carriages. Many streets are narrow. Around noon and in the evening, it's very easy to encounter jams. Walking would be even faster than taking a carriage." Is that so? Helene thought about it and believed the explanation. This was because she had encountered such situations in the past. Trier is still the best. When Emperor Roselle formed the old city districts, he had the foresight to widen the roads. There's sufficient space, even today. Helene had this thought flashed through her mind when she heard the horse carriage. When she heard the horse pulling the carriage's nigh, seemingly in pain. Wait a minute. It seems to have stepped on something. The carriage driver stopped the carriage to the side and jumped off. Helene originally didn't think much of it, but sweeping the area with the corner of her eye, she realized that they were in an uninhabited, quiet alley. Her heartstrings tightened as she didn't hesitate to attempt breaking through the carriage walls and escape. Regardless of whether it was an overreaction or not, she believed it necessary. At that moment, an intense horror surged out from the bottom of her heart. She felt like she had been locked onto by an extremely hungry monster. The pressure she felt at the spiritual level left her hesitant. She didn't dare to take any rash actions. United! I don't think I've seen you before. Thanks for popping by. How you doing? Following that, she heard a deep voice. I won't harm you. I have some questions for you. Helene's mind raced as she quickly considered the options before her. Ultimately, she didn't rashly escape. She sat back in her spot under tremendously terrifying pressure. She planned on assessing the situation first before adjusting her plans. The door to the carriage opened, and the thin, virile local carriage driver walked in. He sat opposite Helene, and he was none other than the faceless Klein. What? How is Klein over here? In order to act as the carriage driver, he had specifically practiced on how to drive a horse and carriage. Jesus Christ, that was unexpected. Okay. This was a technique he had failed to properly learn while he was on Tingent City's Nighthawk Squad, so due to the little amount of time he had, he didn't master it sufficiently, and could only use Creeping Hunger's aura to successfully make the horse obedient. He literally just fucking scared the horse into being obedient. He was like, listen to me, motherfucker. I will eat you if you don't goddamn listen to me. This guy's a monster. What the fuck? Oh, that is not aura. That's the opposite of aura. At the same time, Danitz, who was hidden nearby, quickly ran over and took the carriage driver's seat and began driving the carriage. His round felt hat was pressed low, and he was dressed like a real carriage driver. I don't know why I keep thinking cabbage driver. Like, what the fuck am I thinking? Helene bent her back in a guarded manner, like a leopard who was ready to pounce at any time. She felt that the gaze of the man opposite her was sweeping through her forehead, her eyebrows, her eyes, her nose, her mouth, her neck, her chest, waist, and legs. It left her extremely uneasy. Gearman 1000 aura moment, actually. He had encountered such gazes and methods of sizing her up back in Intis, in Trier, and during the days when she was out at sea. It was something that disgusting perverts did. But this time, she didn't feel insulted. She didn't have the feeling that the man would rip off her clothes or was fantasizing something bad. Instead, he looks like he's studying food. He's like a snake that's slithering across my skin. Finally, Helene couldn't bear it and asked, "What questions do you have?" After fully grasping her looks and features, Klein leaned forward and placed his arms on his thigh in a natural manner. He slightly clasped his palms and said, "Have you heard of the person named Jimmy Necker?" Oh, the Leonard trailer looks really good, Zareth. I'm so curious. Looks too gay, though. I don't know. Again, maybe all the artwork has conditioned me, but like I imagine Leonard as like that. So I don't know. It feels right to me. Never too gay. Helene took a few seconds to recall before firmly shaking her head. She slightly frowned and asked in a daze, "Have you gotten the wrong person?" He's a tycoon, someone who likes to collect things. Have you heard of a person from Tracy? Have you heard of such a person from Tracy? Klein asked again. Tracy? Helene secretly sighed and replied, "No. She never mentioned a tycoon who likes collecting." Then does her room have any ancient documents regarding the southern continent's Balam Empire? No. She's not someone who enjoys reading documents. She hates reading. She even gets me to read novels to her. With that said, Helene revealed a bitter smile. Gearman Sparrow, Klein's best persona? So far, it's definitely been the best, Zoro. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to ask. In what universe is your name Zoro, but your profile pic is Luffy? What is this? You gotta pick a side here. What are we doing? Yeah, so far it's definitely the best, though. What novels does she read? Klein asked. Those classics by Roselle, as well as any contemporary romance stories. Does she have a collector room? Cognitive dissonance. Wait, no. Username. You haven't read One Piece, or you haven't watched One Piece, so you're not allowed to comment. Hold on. Yes, but apart from her and a few mysterious visitors, no one is allowed to enter, including me. Klein fell silent for a few seconds, then said, "Tell me your story." "Mine?" Klein nodded. Helene said after a momentary daze, "My story is simple. My father is a member of the former Sauron royal family of Intis. He received quite a bit of wealth, but lost himself to alcohol, mistresses, marijuana, gambling, causing him to eventually go bankrupt." Okay. Okay, hear me out. This entire sentence before the comma is a perfect life. Literally. Member of a royal family, got a lot of money, lost himself to alcohol, mistresses, marijuana, gambling. Leave it there. Leave it there. The man dies a happy life. Okay? Nothing else. Now, everything else I'm sure is going to be really sad. But I'm saying if you just left it there, that's great. Okay? In order to repay the debts, I chose to accept some conditions raised by the family and become a beyonder. Then I went out to sea to become a sea merchant. Why the fuck would a royal family want someone to be a sea merchant? If they asked her to become a beyonder and then said like, "Oh, you have to join the Church of Storm or something so you can what the fuck? 579. He forgot the way to Zoro's gallery and went to Luffy's. He was method acting Zoro. True. I'm losing because he's my captain. I guess. Okay. All right. As she spoke, Helene's eyes moved up slightly, as though she was immersed in memories. Early on, I transported iron and coal to Midsea Shire and Fainapotter. Then I shipped back tobacco, coffee, cocoa, and other native specialties back to Intis. This is a sea route that borders the shore, so it was rather safe. The competition was intense as well. In order to quickly get out of the predicament and save up money, I worked hard to raise my sequence, hoping that I could trade in the colonies. What the fuck do you mean raise my sequence? Isn't she a sequence 9 hunter? What did you raise it from? Non-beyonder? Unfortunately, just as I familiarized myself with the sea routes and made some money, I chanced upon ailment maiden Tracy, who wasn't Vice Admiral back then. In one of her raids during my second trip to West Balam, she only had one ship back then, but she was very powerful. My partner and I resisted with all our lives, but it was in vain. She doesn't have the habit of killing mindless. She was about to use Fireball. She's not a Sequence 9? How do we know she was about to use Fireball? She doesn't have the habit of killing mindlessly. All she did was snatch the goods as well as myself. As expected of an oddity among demonesses. Klein listened in silence and used his Klein powers to suppress his embarrassed emotions and asked, "How far did the relationship between you two go?" We didn't. She forced me. I didn't want to die. I could only choose to accept it. Besides, she's a woman. What do you mean, besides she's a woman? What does that mean? What? Lady, there's no need to get so worked up. If I had asked if the two of you had a relationship that went beyond friendship, would you have jumped out? It's only because I'm kind enough and had considered your shame which prevented me from being so direct. Oh, okay, never mind. Under the facade of the crazy Gehrman is a gentlemanly me. That's the true me. Klein switched to asking questions without a change in his expression. What kind of food do you like? Are there any dishes you specially like? Do you prefer sweet or salty food, or somewhere in between? Yes, Sequence 7 of Hunter is Pyromaniac. What food do you dislike? What food are you allergic to? Do you have any dietary restrictions? If so, what are they? These questions made Helene feel like she was in a dream, as though everything was surreal. She never imagined that a man would ask her such questions. It was like a pursuer that was asking his crush what hobbies she had. No, a pursuer would not ask no pursuer would ask these questions. They're all indirectly obtained from numerous chats, or are obtained through other means. No woman likes to be questioned like this. This is like a survey that Roselle created. What does he want? He's asking these questions without any expressions. I'm so afraid. Helene fell silent for a few seconds before answering. Then one by one, Klein maintained his seating posture of leaning forward and continued asking, "How do you usually sit? Do you have any habitual motions?" The more Helene answered, the more panicked she became, and she had the inexplicable feeling that answering these questions would make her disappear. By the time the perplexing and terrifying survey was done, she felt heavy deep down, constantly suspecting that a terrible outcome awaited her. Why don't I risk it and jump off the carriage while he's not paying attention? Helene seriously considered the possibility. But the man didn't seem to have any indication of attacking her, and this made her indecisive. She felt that there was hope to resolve the matter amicably. After grasping Helene's personality, habits, and preferences, Klein turned the topic to Vice Admiral Ailment. What do you know of Tracy? Helene fell silent as her mouth quivered, but she couldn't bring herself to speak. She possesses excellent combat abilities. She's good at infiltration and curses, with her being capable of turning invisible and becoming light. Turning invisible? Is that part of the assassin pathway? Becoming light makes sense, assuming it means like light as in weight and not, light as in property, or not even property as like photons, rather. No, Zareth. I'm gonna be behind him by like 6 chapters or so, and then I'm gonna catch up to him in the morning stream. It's like, okay. She became invisible. Cool. And then I'm gonna catch up to him in the morning stream, and then we're gonna have a chat in the afternoon, and then he'll probably be ahead of me again, but then I'll catch up at night. And then we can move on, and then we can surpass where he is right now. But for tomorrow, because we're talking tomorrow, so I'd prefer we're in the same spot. Just that way it makes talking easier. Giovanna, how's it going? She grasps the means of swapping bodies with a mirror or magic staff, as well as black flames and frost. She can make enemies in a certain range suddenly fall sick, including colds, pneumonia, gastroenteritis. What? Vibin. Good stuff. Gastroenteritis. Good lord. And other illnesses. The longer the fight lasts with her, the worse the ailments become. Some Beyonders might even just die from a heart attack. She can also create invisible threads to control her enemy. She knows human anatomy very well. She can easily give people pleasure through contract. That kind of pleasure. See, again, this is so weird. She can create invisible threads to control her enemy. That sounds so similar to a marionettist too, no? Why do I feel like they're so similar in so many ways? She has an active charming ability that would make many pirates give up putting up resistance once they're near her. She's often friendly but cruel to her enemies. She enjoys destroying the perfection that others would wish to protect, making them suffer immense pain and torment. It's always a demoness. Somehow, actually. Helene didn't go into detail how Tracy destroyed the state of perfection of others. There were many cruel stories and hilarious matters. This ailment maiden had once made her enemies, a father and son duo, kill each other, as well as instigate an enemy's wife to betray him and let him come across the scene. as expected of a demoness. She's a sequence 5 demoness who's one sequence higher than the demoness of pleasure. Klein gained a basic grasp of Tracy's combat style and asked again, does she have any mystical items? Yes, a bangle that's inlaid with diamonds. As long as she wears it, it's very difficult for Tracy to be injured. Klein asked a few other detailed questions as he straightened his body. Tracy is helping the demoness sect perform human trafficking. This was something he took great notice of when he heard Edwina mention it. The demoness sect cooperated with Inzong Will, and it was related to the royal family. It involved an underground ruin whose location was unknown. Tracy helped in the human trafficking. Balin, who was pointed out by the hanged man, was someone who orchestrated numerous disappearances of slaves and disappearances of primitive tribes in the southern continent. With him appearing at the underground ruins, he would be a member of the upper echelon. The biggest human trafficker, Capem, who had Beyonders, who were of the Arbiter pathway protecting him, and this is a pathway controlled by the Lone and Feinapotter families, as well as their military. All of these matters that Klein was aware of linked together to form a line, but he wasn't sure what it actually exposed. Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy was a breakthrough point. What demoness sect? Helene asked. You don't have to know, Klein replied. If you don't know what a demoness is and end up suspecting that the extremely charming Vice Admiral Ailment who gives you pleasure is a dirty, savage man, then you might lose control on the spot. You don't have to thank me. I'm a good person, Klein silently lampooned. Helene suppressed her puzzlement and said while recalling, okay, the thing is, I'm trying to piece together how that would work, because if my theory is right, and so far everything seems to be lining up, that the human trafficking and the kidnappings are for NAS to become sequence 0. I just don't know why why, in what sense is the royal family involved? I just don't know. Helene suppressed her puzzlement and said it while recalling. In recent years, she's been busy shipping slaves. The other end, I also don't know how the demoness sect is involved, in fairness. I mean, I guess he could just be paying both of them, but it seems really unlikely that either of them would be okay to have a sequence 0. A new sequence 0 is so much added power, dude. I feel like everyone would be attempting to prevent that as best as possible, because you don't know what the fuck someone's going to do when they become a god. You don't want to take that chance. The other end of the trade is crazy Captain Connor's Victor. Rumor has it that he has many human traffickers and slave merchants in Lone have a deep partnership. I don't think I have this name, so I'm just going to write this in my notes. Unless you need their help to... Maybe, but like... It's not a spoiler. I'm maybe Dr. Z, but... Why would I trust someone to keep their word? If they become a god, what possible reason does a god have to keep a word to a mere human? I just tell you to fuck right off. Oh yeah, I promised I would do it. Yeah, I fucking lied. What are you gonna do about it? I'm a fucking god. No, there's gotta be something bigger. I don't know. He nodded and no longer spoke in a heavy voice. Instead, he said in a relatively gentle tone, "Did you involve yourself in such matters, such as being a part-time pirate? No more. It's not that no morals for gods, Khaled. It's more that, like a finite being can't understand an infinite being by definition. So you don't pretend to, and you don't have faith in them because you don't know what the fuck they're thinking, and you couldn't fathom it even if you wanted to." This very polite and amiable tone left Danitz trembling for some reason. He felt that Gehrman being in such a state was more terrifying than his normal state. No, Helene shook her head. The blood of the Sauron family flows through me. I will not bring shame to my family. But besides, Tracy always says that she wouldn't let me be tainted by bloodshed and darkness. All of that would be faced by her. The Sauron or morals are not bound. Or morals are not bound by them? Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like they're above morals. Like morality is like a human thing, and then they're not really bound by it. Humans are like in this perfect state where like we're bound by morality, but like anything above us and below us isn't. Below us, like animals don't give a fuck about what's moral. Even smart creatures like dolphins or crows or what, they don't give a fuck. They'll do whatever they want. Fuck everything. And then gods would equally be like, I don't have to do a fucking thing. I'll do what I want. She must have read too many damn romance novels. Klein took out a coin and allowed it to weave between his fingers like it was dancing. He didn't keep it from Helene as he performed a divination in front of her to confirm she wasn't lying. The result was that she was rather honest. This is also because I didn't ask in detail about her emotional entanglement with Tracy. Otherwise, she might not be that honest. At this moment, the carriage had circled around the harbor, no longer heading for the ship that Helene meant to board. Klein looked at the scenery outside and took a small metal bottle, handed it to Helene and said, "Use the liquid to wipe away your makeup." "Why?" Helene asked. "This isn't something you should be asking." Feeling deeply aggrieved and furious, Helene didn't wish to agitate the man and get on his bad side. She could only remove the bottle cap and take a sniff to test if it was poisonous. "Can it be used directly?" she asked. Klein tersely acknowledged in the affirmative. Helene took out a white handkerchief and dabbed it with the bottle's liquid. Then she began wiping her face and quickly cleaned her prior disguise. Her aesthetically pleasing masculinity vanished and her contours became softer as Helene's original looks were presented. After careful observation, Klein calmly said, "Take off your hat and let down your hair." She took a deep breath, removed her hat, and allowed her hair and released her coiled hair. Klein straightened his body and said, "You can put on your disguise again." Is he insane? After all this, he wants me to go back? Helene, he just wanted to see what she looks like when she's actually her, and now he's gonna board the ship in place of her to take the risk of being kidnapped or whatever. Oh, cool. She hurriedly opened her suitcase and took out a mirror to look at herself. The makeup has been removed so cleanly. She was stunned for a moment before she quickly put on her makeup and coiled her hair. When the carriage came to a stop, she already looked like a young man. Klein nodded indiscernibly and looked out the window before attracting his gaze. One last question. "What?" Helene asked. "How big are your breasts?" Please don't clip that. I'm so fucked. This wasn't a redness caused by embarrassment, but an anger from wanting to punch the man in the face. Klein didn't move his gaze as he calmly added, "It's an academic question." Noticing no intent from his eyes, Helene inhaled and closed her eyes to answer the question. Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief and took out a boat ticket and a stack of papers. New identification, tickets to Tiana Port. Once you're there, buy tickets for Pritz Harbor. Helena glanced at him vigilantly before taking the ticket and documents. She carried her suitcase and carefully alighted the carriage to see the ship she was taking. "Khaled, why are you like this?" Klein followed behind her and watched her leave. From the corner of his eye, he saw Danitz trying hard to hold back his laughter. Danitz is going, "You had to ask him, that dumbass." Good for him. Good for him. After all he's been through, Dennis deserves some laughter. Klein slowly turned his head and shot a glance at Danitz. The pirate, with a bounty of 5,500 pounds, immediately shut his mouth and clamped up. It was as though nothing had happened. After confirming that Helene boarded the liner without issue, he turned around and walked to the side of the carriage. He pretended to casually ask, "Did you hear the conversation?" No, a little. Just a little." Danitz shook his head. "You have to remember. Otherwise, it'll be easy for people to see through you." "See through me?" "She's of the Sauron family. She has anti-tracking beyond her powers. Together with her tics and behavior, it can be confirmed that she's a Sequence 7 of the Hunter pathway, pyromaniac, very similar to you. And you'll be able to do a good job acting as her." "Me? I won't do. I can't disguise myself like her. I'll be identified with just a look." Danitz jumped. "I'll lend you creeping hunger." No. I have no experience in this. I won't be able to fool Vice Admiral Ailment's subordinates." Danitz declined the mission. To him, this was an extremely embarrassing and dog-shit matter. Only a pervert or a lunatic would do it. Klein nodded in agreement and said, "Indeed, you are very stupid." Danitz forced a smile. "Yes, I'm very stupid." Oh god, Clyde is so mean. Okay, guys, give me 2 minutes. I'm just gonna quickly do a thing. I'm just gonna quickly start the upload for the Leonard reaction to the channel, and then we can get back to reading. Okay, give me 2 minutes. I really should have done that at the end of last chapter. I don't know why the fuck I decided to do this later. But here we are. Cross-dressing is not something to be ashamed of. Okay, give me literally 2 minutes. I'm right here. I'm still reading chat and stuff. I'm just do. I personally look very good in male clothing. I will take your word for it. But I think I think people should do Whatever they like. As long as it's not harming another person, do whatever the fuck you prefer. I am quite a libertarian in that sense. Okay, soon, I promise, very soon, I also plan to make a video about the ending of Volume 2. Lord of the Mysteries has been keeping me so busy, I've had no time to actually make the video. But very soon, I promise, I will do that. Okay, perfect. Look at that. I don't think that took too long at all. That should be uploaded in just a little bit, and then I can have it set to release before I go to bed. Nailed. Okay. Klein didn't say a word as he walked past Danitz and opened the door to the carriage. Danitz followed him with his eyes as he subconsciously saw Gehrman Sparrow's red hair. As he saw Gehrman's hair turn red, he blinked his dull eyes and saw the man's facial contours turn soft and his eyes turn emerald green. His lips turned thin as they pursed, making him look frail and insecure. He had a masculine beauty and looked identical to Helene, who had just left. After seeing Gehrman Sparrow enter the carriage, Danitz turned his head back as the corners of his mouth twitched. He was silent for a few seconds before he muttered, "What a lunatic! He changed into a woman without any hesitation. I have to say that Helene looks pretty good disguised as a man. This Beyonder power sure is useful. If I can receive an item like that and figure out what the captain's ideal type is, then I can make the corresponding changes and make her fall in love with me." Oh, you bitchless motherfucker. But in that case, would the person that she falls in love with still be me? Okay, Ship of Theseus asking ass. Danitz found himself pondering over philosophical questions until he heard a cough from the carriage behind him. He snapped to his senses and drove the carriage away from the harbor. He planned on making a huge detour before circling back. Inside the carriage, Klein wasn't as calm as he appeared, although Helene was in male clothing, allowing him to temporarily not bother about the most embarrassing parts. He still felt quite embarrassed to have his face change in a woman's while squeezing out breasts. This left him feeling down and awkward. Edwina must be a hell of a woman to get a whole crew to fall in love. Maybe, but you also have to remember, pirates are generally stuck at sea with only men. Literally any woman will do for them. Like, again, that's why this, at least the assumption is that mermaids came from like pirates who were stuck at sea so long that they wanted to have sex with manatees. That's where that's at least that's apparently where the whole mermaid thing comes from. A faceless's change in appearance is easy. The difficult part is the mind. To act as a good faceless, I'll have to cross many mental blocks. If I don't, then I'll have to spend a great deal of time to act like a real person for years. My identity has to be recognized by everyone as I fully immerse myself into that character, until I almost treat it like it's real. This is more challenging on my bottom line. It's crazy and warped. To speed up my progress, I have to overcome some obstacles. Klein pulled out a suitcase from the undercarriage. He rummaged for some clothing and found clothes that before replicating Helene's disguise. He could have gotten Danitz to act as Helene and borrow the mystical item with the faceless beyond her characteristic from Justice for a few days with no problem. However, that meant there would be a high chance of Danitz facing Vice Admiral Ailment directly. Without the clown powers, it would be almost impossible for him to hide it from her, putting his life in danger. It was impossible for Klein to make others bear huge risks for his own matters. Therefore, he could only challenge himself and do it himself. This is good. He should do it himself. It'll help his digestion of the faceless potion. He might also die, but he has a cheat code for that too. Soon he looked identical to Helene. Under the top black hat, it was a handsome androgynous face with soft and pronounced contours. His emerald green eyes looked as beautiful as gems. He adjusted his build, making himself shorter by a few centimeters and narrowing his shoulder width. As his frame shrank, he looked like he had lightened significantly. His current appearance quickly surfaced in Klein's mind with his clown powers. It's still not bad. There's not much to it. Perhaps it's because I'm not in female clothing, so it doesn't feel much different from turning into Gehrman, Danitz, or anyone else. I just look prettier and have some discomfort in my chest. If I look like that on Earth, I wouldn't need to worry about not having a girlfriend, he mocked and consoled himself. Wow. What looked like a normal action on Gehrman now looked sorry and pitiful. Fuck, Klein cursed out as he quickly adjusted his state of mind, bit by bit, immersing himself into the state of true acting. With the passage of time, he discovered that the resistance he had lessened significantly. Following that, he felt relaxed and calm as the potion had harmonized itself further. This meant that the digestion of the potion would speed up. It really is useful. That's good. Well, yeah, that makes sense, right? Because he's getting over the mental blocks of like, hey, I'm acting as a woman, like, like I have to really be, like he's getting through all of that, which is really helping him digest the potion. It really is useful, Klein said silently as he got up and went above the grey fog to confirm the level of danger. After returning to the real world, he switched to Helene's voice and deliberately suppressed it. Head to Pier 6 at the harbor. Danitz didn't find anything amiss. Then he suddenly came to a realization. He couldn't help but tremble. It's like a real person. It's like the real person. I wouldn't be able to distinguish him if the day comes where he transforms into the captain to fool me. Yes, of course. Gehrman's true plan, sleeping with Danitz. That's what Klein was after all along. There's no Earth. He was never a transmigrator. He just needed to get into Danitz's pants. That was it. After a while, the carriage entered the harbor and went to the liner which Helene was originally meant to board. But it didn't truly approach it. He had instead circled around to a nearby warehouse. Danitz jumped off the carriage and knocked on the warehouse's door, according to a prior agreed pattern. Out came a group of dock workers who were clearly of native blood. Following that, they made way. After confirming there wasn't anything amiss, a bald member of the resistance, Kalat, came out on a wheelchair. "Where is she?" he looked at Danitz and asked. Through Helene's matter, Danitz had successfully established communications with the resistance. Danitz laughed. "In the carriage. She has been drugged with medicine that makes her lose her strength. Its effect will last 10 hours. Remember, I want 70% of the 1,000-pound bounty." Kalat raised his right hand and waved it. Immediately, 2 members of the resistance got on the carriage. "Boss, it's the woman." They soon poked their heads out and said in a tone of a local gang, "Take her down." "Our mission is to protect her," Kalat emphasized again. Helene, who was disguised as a man, was helped down from the carriage with 2 soldiers supporting her from either side. With his control as a clown, Klein pretended to be weak in the knees as he staggered. He was soon moved to a room among Bayam's populace. At the same time, Kalat instructed a local gang member who believed in the sea god to find strongman Ozil and tell him they had found the target. He was to bring 1,000 pounds in exchange for the woman. As for Danitz, he had returned to the inn to await the news. Wait, what? I thought Klein was going to get on the carriage. What the fuck is happening with this? No, I thought he was going to get on the ship, not the carriage. Sorry, what the fuck is happening with this? At noon, Ozil replied, saying that he couldn't be too sure if the person was the real deal, and had planned on sending a person over to confirm things. Kalat agreed. Closer to the evening, a figure appeared outside the house. He was a man wearing pantaloons and a jacket. He was low in knees and dressed in the style of a native. He had short brows, about half the average person's. His dark brown eyes were recessed, and his face looked cut. Kalat pushed himself on a wheelchair and appeared by the door. After seeing the man, he said, "My Thor King? Should I be honored that you actually know me?" The man laughed. He was originally a captain of one of the pirate ships under the Vice Admiral Hurricane. After Vice Admiral Ailment took over the crew, he took on the role as a third mate of her flagship, the Black Death. His nickname was Wormtongue, with a bounty of 5,400 pounds. Oh, I see. Okay. Kalat didn't reply as he wheeled himself to make way. Mythor entered the nearby room after being led by a gang member. Inside, he saw Helene, sitting by the bedside in a gentleman's outfit. Her eyes were darting about and glaring at him. Her teeth bit down on her lips, so she looked furious and fearful, while having feelings of despair and obstinacy. It's her, all right, but I can't be certain because she's wearing thick makeup. It's hard to tell what a woman really looks like once they don thick makeup. Wipe her face clean for me. Hey, why don't you cuff her? Don't you know she's dangerous? She's been drugged. She doesn't have much strength and hasn't resisted. But, since you asked... Kalat lifted his chin to a resistance soldier. The soldier found a pair of cuffs, walked over, and pulling Klein's hand, he cuffed him. Klein continued wearing his mixed emotions like before, trying hard to act like he was struggling, despite having a lack of strength. Then, another gang member got some water and wiped his face with a towel. Thankfully, most of the makeup in this era isn't waterproof. Klein began changing his face's contour as the towel removed his face, as the towel covered his face, removed his face. What the fuck? Well, I guess it kind of did. Before long, Mythor saw Helene's moist face. She looked extraordinarily frail and beautiful in this state. Unfortunately, she's captain's. Mythor's throat moved. As a man and a pirate, he often fantasized about the Vice Admiral and red-haired Helene falling into his embrace. But of course, it was only his imagination. The way he looks at me is disgusting. Klein nearly puked. Although he knew that it was targeted at red-haired Helene and had nothing to do with him, he couldn't help but feel goosebumps. In that instant, he got to know the real him a little deeper. He knew what things he couldn't accept at all. Oh, that's cool, eh? Oh, that's a really cool little detail. I didn't think of that. In that instant, he got to know the real him a little deeper. By being someone else, you get to know you better, too. That is true. Because you're put in positions where you wouldn't normally be, so you find limits that you wouldn't normally find. Ah, that's cool. So not only do you figure out how to be a better other person, you get to figure out how to be a better you. It really is her. Mythor turned his head and said to Kalat, "This is your reward." He threw a tiny leather bag over. Kalat did a brief inspection and threw it to his subordinate. He pondered for a few seconds and said, "We still need your help." "No problem. Seek out Ozil when needed." Mythor pointed to the red-haired Helene in the room and asked, "I'll take her away, right?" "Yes." Klein didn't wish to be helped by Mythor as he pretended to regain some of his mobility when stumbling out. Mythor was afraid of Vice Admiral ailment, so he could only hold her by her shoulder and lead her to the carriage parked outside. The carriage left the city and came to a private harbor. Mythor led Klein, who was disguised as Helene, onto a fishing boat, which had long been prepared, and under the cover of night, they left Bayam. After about an hour, they saw a ship docked under the shadow of an island's cliff. Fluttering in the wind was a huge flag with a white bone on it. Alright, have a good night, username. You can disguise yourself as anyone, but ultimately you are yourself. True. Only a single Black Death? The other ships are anchored beyond the Rorstad archipelago's confines because they're afraid of being discovered. This is good news. Klein retracted his gaze and deliberately bit his lip to express his agitation. Oh, sorry, let me change the number really quick. Oh, academic question. Ah, funny. $5.85. Okay. 5 more. The other ships are anchored by the Rorstad archipelago's confines because they're afraid of being discovered. This is good news. After taking a glance at Helene's side profile, Mythor lit a torch and began swinging it to signal the flagship. Before long, a dinghy came and took him and the disguised Klein back to the Black Death. As the dinghy was being hoisted up, Klein boarded another pirate's Admiral flagship. Under Mythor's lead, he entered the cabin. Waiting for them up ahead was a blonde female attendant. She glanced at Helene with a cold stare and pointed to the side. "Go in." This attitude. It's like meeting a love rival in the flesh. Both men and women fall for this Vice Admiral Ailment's charm. True, but think about it. Everyone on Edwina's ship is also in love with her, but she isn't artificially doing it. She's just actually that kind of person. So think about it. Who's actually prettier? Now, the cuffed Klein instantly increased his vigilance as he wore a heavy expression and followed the attendant into the room. He originally believed that he would immediately meet Tracy and obtain a chance to meet her in private. He was already ready to strike, but apart from a wardrobe, a sofa, and a full-body mirror in a cramped carpeted room, there was nothing. "Merlin, how's it going?" Could it be that Tracy has deliberately given Helene the cold shoulder to express her anger? Klein recalled romance novels and contrived television serials as he had previously watched while contemplating the reason for the ailment maiden's actions. The blonde female attendant shot a glance at Helene's male attire that lacked the androgynous beauty to it due to a lack of makeup. Took 2 steps forward, opened the wardrobe, and pointed to the dresses inside. "Captain doesn't like your present attire. Change." Fuck, Klein cursed inwardly. He originally imagined that he would be granted a meeting with Tracy while looking like Helene and dressed as a male. He was thankful that he didn't have to overly humiliate himself to achieve this goal, but in the end, he didn't manage to escape the outcome he had wanted to avoid. Seeing Helene standing there in a daze, the attendant glared at her. You have two choices. Change yourself, or I'll help you. Remove my cuffs. He turned his body sideways and gestured with his chin to the door. And go outside. Conniving whore. The attendant cursed under her breath as she left. After she left the room and closed the door, Klein walked to the wardrobe and stood there in a daze for 20 seconds. Suddenly, he closed his eyes and extended his right hand. After an unknown period of time, he came in front of a full-body mirror and saw Helene's red hair cascading down in the reflection. Her green eyes shimmered as she wore a golden red dress. By her waist was a ribbon tied into a flower. It was pulled tight, accentuating her slender waist. What am I reading? What are you guys watching me read? What is happening? What has the world come to? Truly. After the 60s, the West truly is lost. You know what? The conservatives are right. It's over. Helene's beautiful face was flushed red, and her lips were tightly pursed. Her expressions were heavy, looking identical to the picture from before. Klein looked at his present image and first felt somewhat embarrassed. However, he got over it to a certain extent while changing. Besides, there wasn't anyone inside. Second, he gradually found a different feeling. This wasn't to say that he was gradually liking such acts. Instead, he was overcoming his aversion. He gained some form of detachment from his self-awareness. He felt like his soul had flown out of his body, allowing him to calmly observe Helene dressing up in a female attire and adjusting her clothes through the mirror with a calm attitude. He believed that this was a necessary step in his mission and that there was nothing embarrassing or odd about it. It's Jover, lesbian, smut everywhere, actually. It's for science. Klein felt a baffling sense of familiarity as he tried to recall and compare this feeling in a bit to fix it in the future and gain an understanding of it. Soon he found the source. This was similar to him playing RPG games. In it, he could choose a male or female character, carefully choosing the facial features and the attire of the character, allowing the beauty to please his eyes. There was nothing kinky or embarrassing while doing this. On the other hand, he was viewing it from an angle of a god through his screen, making his attitude detach, and on the other hand, he was seriously acting and going through the plot. By combining the two perfectly and not distinguishing between them, he didn't have any aversion to it because he was playing a game. Klein suddenly opened his eyes, feeling that this was the faceless state he's been searching for. Bro's coping, actually. Wanderer, how's it going? Oh my god, he's found the ultimate cope. He could act as anyone, but he was still only himself. As he got into character and worked hard to act, he could detach his feelings and calmly observe. By making comparisons, he could figure things out himself and find his true self. It's both getting into character and detachment. This is the application of the faceless's main principle. Klein felt at peace as the remnant embarrassment coexisted with his changed attitude. With a detached attitude, as though he was playing a role-playing game, he observed himself in the full-body mirror and tried hard to find any flaws. Thankfully, I got Danitz to get 2 sets of female clothing to study the way it's all put together. Otherwise, there's no way I could wear them so quickly. And normally, as a first-timer, it'd be easy to expose my flaws. This is called professionalism. Coping even harder. True. Klein just wanted to play dress-up. Women's clothing sure is complicated. From the perspective of a faceless, there are many flaws in Helene's facial features and contours. She might be beautiful, but it's nothing I'd call stunning. Yes, with this state of mind, I can clearly feel the potion digesting. Klein looked at himself in the mirror as though he was looking at a character named Helene. The female attendant banged on the door and said, "Are you not done?" Klein's face instantly sank, as though she hadn't returned him the 10,000 pounds she owed him. He maintained this state as he walked to the door and pulled it. The blonde attendant shot him a glance and raised the handcuffs. "Put your hands to your back. You're now a prisoner." As red-haired Helene was on the Black Death, she wasn't afraid that anything would bring her harm. All she wanted to do was humiliate her. Klein grunted and half-turned his body, putting his hands to his back. He felt relaxed because the woman wasn't paying too much attention to his attire. After putting on the cuffs, he was led by the woman to the entrance of the captain's cabin. Bro's beauty standard got up. I know! He's actually like, she's beautiful, but like a Kansas 8. Damn, bro! When did Klein become like this? The door was half open, allowing a fragrance of warmth to emanate outside. It wasn't too strong, but was sufficiently long-lasting. It was a scent that kept pulling one back as they would involuntarily wish to head to bed. The attendant knocked on the door, and just as she was about to say the word, when a gloomy but sufficiently beautiful female voice came from the inside. "Let her come in alone." The attendant's face sank as she pushed open the door, signaling with her eyes for Klein to enter. The moment of truth is here. Klein took a deep breath and stepped in the room. The door behind him closed with a thud, isolating the inside from the outside. Klein walked across the thick carpet and, using the candlelight from the golden candle racks, saw a rather beautiful lady sitting behind a desk while leaning back. She was wearing beige trousers with her feet extended diagonally while crossed. Her brows were long and straight, and her azure blue eyes were sharp and bright. She wore a white linen shirt, allowing her to intimate. What is intimate? I kept reading this as initiate, and I was like, intimate. It's intimate. Oh my god, I'm so sleepy. Jesus Christ. Allowing her intimate body to faintly peek through. Raven black curled hair cascaded down to hide her critical bits, making Klein instantly feel uncomfortable. Upon seeing Helene enter, Tracy raised her left hand and asked, "Tell me, how should I punish you?" I'm so sleepy. Jesus Christ. I couldn't read intimate. And that's the thing. Part of me kept reading, like a part of my brain kept reading it, and I was like, I feel like I know that word, but like, I don't know that word. That's not great. She held a black leather whip in her hand. Ma'am, there's always room for discussion. Oh, wait. I have a meme for this. Klein entering Tracy's room is like, His eyes first moved upwards before leveling towards her. He said without a hint of emotion, "Returning to this place is already the greatest punishment. Anything else is just a bonus. You're as stubborn as usual, yet always so indecisive." Tracy stood up. She held back her smile and walked towards Helene with the whip in her hand. During this process, Klein noticed that she wore a bangle with inlaid diamonds on her right hand. The mystical item described by Helene. It reduces most forms of damage. Klein, who had originally planned to take action the moment the gap between them narrowed, held back his urge. "Oh, they cuffed you. That's nice. We haven't played such a game before." Are you telling me Easy was reading this while wearing a black wig? Cooked. Actually cooked. Tracy smiled, but her azure blue eyes seemed to be a stormy ocean that was gathering strength. Ma'am, your lines are quite terrible, Klein thought. Tracy came in front of him and raised her right hand to slide down his cheek. Returning is the greatest punishment, eh? You usually don't seem to think so. Although you resist in the beginning, you're more passionate than me towards the end. Whatever happens in the stream stays in the stream. Before she finished her sentence, Klein pulled out his left hand from the handcuff, and he grabbed the bangle on her wrist in a manner that was as fast as lightning, and he swiped it down. At the same time, that hand turned a shade of gold. Klein's green and deep eyes suddenly lit up with 2 bolts of lightning. This was creeping hunger, psychic piercing, and the ability to pull his... Okay, fight music. Hold on. Let's go. Beat her ass, Klein. Fuck him. And the ability to pull off his hand out of the handcuffs was a magician power. It was called bone softening, which Klein very seldom used. He had long made plans and preparations for what he would do after infiltrating. It was to find a chance to be alone with the Vice Admiral and assassinate her. Only by doing so did he have a chance of defeating a pirate admiral, and only by doing so could he severely injure and capture her. If it could not be done, he didn't mind killing her. He was already very accustomed to channeling spirits above the grey fog. He wasn't afraid of not being able to obtain the intelligence he needed. A human trafficker didn't deserve any pity. True, fucker! Oh, true, wanderer. In addition, in order to prevent himself from tripping himself up, he only brought the most difficult to detect creeping hunger, which was good at disguising itself. The other mystical items were above the grey fog. Klein didn't bring anything? That's not good. Klein always brings like 14 mystical... Klein brings like, oh, I'm just going to bring Rosego's all black eye, so if shit hits the fan, I just throw that and then it corrupts her. If that doesn't work, I'm going to hit her with the fucking sun charm. If that doesn't work, I'm going to hit her with Azek's copper whistle. If that doesn't work, I'm going to hit her... Like, Klein has like 47 backup plans, and now he only has hunger? That's not good. Furthermore, he was on the Black Death with several opposing Beyonders on board. He had to finish the battle quickly. This was also to avoid being taken down by Tracy's ailment power. The longer he fought her, the worse the ailments would become. In that instant, the bangle with inlaid diamonds was removed from Tracy's wrist. Klein's green eyes flashed with lightning as the beautiful and charming Vice Admiral remained in a daze. All she did was instinctively dodge. She couldn't believe that Helene would attack, or dare believe that she had possessed such reactions and abilities. 582 Provocation. I pray to the Lord to get me to let me get through this this reading without having such trip-ups like I did before. Okay, just let me read without being able to without fucking up words, and then I'm gonna go right to bed. Okay, I promise. Tracy saw 2 bolts of lightning light up in Helene's eyes. Her beautifully contoured chin was suddenly lifted as though she was about to let out a tragic scream. Suddenly, she stiffened on the spot, shattering like a mirage. The full-body mirror placed in the room cracked and quickly crumbled. Mirror substitution spell. Tracy's figure, in her pure white shirt, beige trousers, and black leather boots, appeared in the corner where the mirror had been. Before she could catch her breath, she heard heavy footsteps and saw Helene's dress fluttering to the back as she charged forward like a chariot. Klein had already switched to a zombie state. His muscles were taut and his strength had increased substantially. His sleeves fluttered as he clenched his fist before throwing it at Tracy like an iron hammer. Although he continued maintaining Helene's appearance, his actions were like a beast's. He was fierce and formidable. As he bombarded Tracy with his punches and kicks, all she could do was desperately parry his attacks without having the time to use her other powers. If a Demoness of Affliction's corresponding Sequence 9 was an assassin, allowing her to have extraordinary combat skills and dodging capabilities, the barrage of attack would have already left her severely injured. Klein first emanated a white, frosty air, causing Tracy to tremble with every time she made contact. Gradually, ice began to form on her body. This was a zombie's mastery of frost. Seeing her blood gradually stiffen, Tracy didn't hesitate and took a blow. Her lips turned pale as her mouth opened slightly and let out a formless scream. Accompanied by the scream, a blue illusory halo surged out of her body. It was stacked layers of frost. It left stacked layers of frost in its wake. In just 1 or 2 seconds, both of them found themselves in a frozen world. They were surrounded by thick and transparent ice, and there was loose frost blanketing the exterior. The two looked very close to one another, but they needed to break through the various obstructions to fight each other. A smile appeared on Tracy's face as a silent black flame ignited within her body. It quickly melted the surrounding ice as it began to launch a counterattack, allowing Ailment to grasp the advantage. At this moment in time, she saw Helene, who was often frail and indecisive, snap her fingers without an expression. A matchstick she hadn't noticed lit up as the scarlet flames leaped. Instantly, it enveloped the red-haired figure's dress. Tracy's pupils constricted as her spiritual intuition gave her an extreme feeling of foreboding. In the silent black flames behind her, Klein leapt out in the form of Helene. He extended both his arms and hugged Tracy, locking her arms in the process. At the same time, he opened his mouth and shouted "bang." A formless air bullet shot out with might that exceeded with that of a revolver. It was comparable to the latest rifle models. It passed through the void and accurately hit the back of Tracy's head. The bullet drilled through her skull, but Ailment's body suddenly contracted, turning into a black staff. Magic staff substitution. Did this motherfucker just hit me with a substitution jutsu from fucking Naruto? What the fuck was that? Tracy rapidly appeared diagonally across him. The bullets on her shirt dropped as she revealed a mesmerizing view of her fair skin. However, what caught Klein's attention wasn't that, but the blood on her palm. While Klein restrained Tracy, she had clawed behind her, ripping off a piece of fabric and injuring his thigh. At this moment, Tracy quickly opened and closed her mouth twice as illusory black flames appeared on her palm to burn the blood. This was black magic, a witch's curse. Do what Leonard did. Rip off a fingernail, wrap it with some hair, toss it. Klein couldn't help but tremble. A black flame ignited from within. From his soles to the top of his head, he was rapidly reduced to paper shreds. Oh, yeah, I guess paper substitute will do. Wait, now that I think about it, when Leonard was being hit by that curse, it was the old man, it was the grandpa that told him what to do, eh? Because there's no way Leonard would have known how to counteract a fucking witch's curse at a sequence 9. Oh. Just as he appeared in another corner, Klein couldn't, yes, just as he appeared in another corner, he felt countless invisible spider webs swirl around him. Leonard would sequence 8, not 9. Oh, yes. Midnight Poet. Some were hard and attempted to bind him, while others were soft in a bid to stimulate different parts of his body. Klein, who was a Beyonder who acted extremely calm during combat, felt his heart race as his ears heated up. His body turned numb and sore, having the discomfort of a cold while having the urge to have his blood surge downwards. Compared to Madame Sharon from Tingen, Tracy's spiderwebs were far more terrifying. Klein didn't dare to underestimate it as he immediately snapped his fingers. A snap ignited all the surrounding spiderwebs as scarlet flames extended from where they came from and surged towards Tracy like a tidal wave. Back in Tingen, Klein already knew that the spiderwebs from a demoness of pleasure were weak against fire. Instantly, the middle of the room became a huge ignited spiderweb. Tracy was caught by surprise as the flames swept towards her. She exhaled with an eerie blue illusory light surged outwards and froze her within a transparent but gigantic crystal. The scarlet flame surged over and kept melting the ice, but it gradually weakened. Klein didn't pick up the diamond inlaid bangle, because he wasn't sure what negative effects it might have. To rashly use a mystical item without sufficient comprehension of what it was likely to be harmful rather than beneficial. He straightened his body and opened his arms, letting his left glove be dyed in the lustrous glow of the sun, priest of light. In that instant, Tracy was hiding in the ice, felt the extremely familiar Helene wore a holy luster. In between her brows, an unprecedented tenacity surged out. She was pretty, but no longer frail, like a blooming sunflower, like a flower of war stained with blood. Tracy shouted, "Who are you? Why don't you dare show yourself?" While wearing a dress and using my own looks would be kind of odd, it's more suitable to remain in Helene's appearance. True. Following that, he praised the sun. A magnificent, pure beam of light descended with golden flames swirling around it, completely blanketing the ice and Tracy. As the ice melted and vanished at a discernible pace, the bright and holy light dimmed before disintegrating. The color in Tracy's face drained as she did a somersault and agilely dodged Klein's psychic piercing from his switch to the interrogator's soul, letting whatever damage she received happen inside the beam of light. The light of holiness was strong against the undead and corrupt, so it was only considered an ordinary sequence 5 strike on a demoness. Bang, bang, bang. Tracy did multiple somersaults and dodged Klein's air bullets. As she rolled, her figure vanished, a demoness's invisibility. Klein bent his back slightly and was highly on alert. However, being unable to locate her in a short period of time. Furthermore, his forehead was heating up and his lungs were burning. His throat hurt and itched. He couldn't keep himself from coughing any longer. I can't let this drag out. Klein's thoughts raised as he suddenly laughed and used a stiff male voice and said, "Helene told me all of your secrets." She told me all of her secrets. Before he finished his sentence, his spiritual perception was triggered. This was because he discovered an intense emotional fluctuation, an emotion of rage and hatred that were impossible to hide from him. Klein immediately turned and looked over. Instantly, layers of golden scales appeared on his left glove. His eyes were tainted with a pale golden color as his pupils turned vertical. Silently, Tracy's figure was outlined as she wore a pained and twisted expression. Her extremely feminine raven-black curly hair grew uncontrollably as they spread in every direction. Psychiatrist's frenzy. Tracy, whose emotions had been stirred, nearly broke down when faced with such an attack, temporarily losing her reasoning. Klein took the opportunity and snapped his fingers. Air bullets crossed the distance, heading straight for Tracy's face. Suddenly, a wisp of a thick raven-black hair swept over, changing the trajectory of the bullets. It struck Tracy in the shoulder, causing her clothes to rip and blood to spurt. Even her bones were exposed. Ugh! Tracy let out a shrill cry as intense amounts of black flame spewed out of her body and enveloped her. Following that, thick ice crystals formed outside the black flames. Beyond it, the raven-black curly hair that frantically grew wrapped Tracy. The black flames and the ice in thick layers. It seemed to form a gigantic cocoon made of human hair. Bang, bang, bang. Klein's air bullets shot out one after another, but only penetrated the black hair and got stuck in the ice. He paused and made his left glove emit the brilliance of the sun. She's clearly she's extraordinarily powerful. At that moment, his throat itched. Unable to control himself any further, he began coughing violently. He failed to produce the attacks he was preparing to deliver. Inside the cocoon, Tracy recovered her senses and raised her voice and shouted, "Enemy assault! Enemy assault!" I would yell, but there's someone sleeping in the room right next to me and I don't want to wake him up because I'm not an asshole and it's 1 in the morning. At that instant, Klein paused for a second. In his moment of adrift thoughts, he felt as though he had returned to Backland, returning home. The first time he encountered the devil dog. He knew he wasn't its match and could only shout "murder" and "save me" before successfully escaping. At that moment, Tracy's cries had the same effect. Oh, so Klein's not going to be able to kill her. But this is Tracy admitting, like, okay, he's stronger than me. In a one-on-one, I lose. Even if there weren't a dozen Beyonders on the black deck, the number was close to that. Furthermore, there were relatively many Beyonders of relatively high sequences. Indeed, killing an Admiral in a short period of time is so hard, even if it's an assassination. Klein coughed twice, snapped his fingers, and stopped attacking and hesitating. He turned and ran for the window in the captain's cabin. The last thing he noticed was the diamond inlaid bangle. He didn't dare to retrieve it. Fuck, he should have gotten it. No, Firstly, he was afraid that the severe negative effects would affect his escape. Secondly, he was afraid that Tracy would be able to lead a bunch of Beyonders to pursue him with the help of the item's location after she recovered. A pursuit at sea would then unfold. I can't be greedy. Klein turned his head and smashed through the window and fell onto the deck. 2 pirates happened to come over as they thrust their cutlasses forward. Their cutlasses pierced through a paper figurine. Klein instantly appeared behind one of the pirates as he extended his left hand, opening a ferocious and creepy mouth on his palm. Creeping hunger bit down on its food, while Klein lifted the pirate before the other Beyonders rushed over. He took wide steps and ran to the shipboard. Under gunfire, he plunged into the dark sea under the night sky. Damn, he was really the spitting image of the Rear Admiral here, huh? Damn. Alright, he was close though. In a one-on-one, he wins that. She just had home court advantage. That's bullshit, okay? I really like how he didn't win. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to know that he just doesn't always inherently win because he's the MC. I mean, I was never afraid of that with this fucking novel, because goddammit, they goddamn killed him 200 chapters in. The ice-cold water instantly inundated Klein, drenching his golden red dress and making him shrink like a rock. At the same time, creeping hunger had already finished eating the pirate, lightening his load. Klein didn't attempt to float up and had instead continued sinking downwards. He could faintly hear splashing sounds across the distant waves. Apparently, pirates from the sailor pathway had engaged in pursuit. This was their home ground. They could act like fish in such environments for a long time. Klein wasn't alarmed. As a magician who never performs unprepared, he had obviously thought of his escape plans if he met trouble. To do his best acting as Helene and not be discovered by Vice Admiral Tracy, he had not only left the other mystical items and cache above the grey fog, but had even done so with the charms that came under the water and the wind domain he recently made. But that didn't affect him. As a god, a blessed, and a believer trinity, he had many miraculous methods to deal with the corresponding situation. He quickly made creeping hunger turn pale and be dyed in a gloomy green. The surrounding sea froze, forming layers of frost. Before the frost completely turned to ice, Klein spread his wing muscles and spread out his arms. What are his wing muscles? I presume he's referring to his lats? With the strength of a zombie, he shattered the frost, sending them slightly further away. This way, he produced a narrow space that didn't have any seawater around him. The water instantly surged backwards to fill the space. Klein lifted his left palm and released the terrifying cold and spread it out, creating layers of ice walls. Ah, the famous wing muscle, yes, of course. For a brief moment, he seemed to be encased in an ice prison. He could stand in it and produce sound, but he was only limited to that tiny space. Klein immediately took steps in a counterclockwise fashion and went above the grey fog. Just as he appeared at the fool's high-backed chair, he picked up the sea god scepter, which he had placed at the table. Without needing to identify a thing, he selected the point of light representing Gehrman, who had recently been promoted to a believer of the sea god through a previously established connection. He raised the scepter and made the blue gems emit a blurry luster. He replied to his believer and augmented himself with all sorts of spells, including, but not limited to, underwater breathing, freedom of movement, and pressure resistance. Okay, this is actually fucking wall hacks at this point. What the fuck? Finally, he used a paper angel to interfere with any divination. He then ordered the nearby undersea creatures to help protect Gehrman's escape. After doing all this, Klein didn't delay and immediately rushed to return to the real world. At that moment, the seawater's pressure had crushed the constantly melting ice wall and had retaken that independent space. However, Klein could already breathe easily and swim rapidly. Through the rippling but crystalline water, he saw fishes swimming towards him. A dark shadow rose up from beneath his feet, and an unknown behemoth rapidly rose. It was a strange, brownish-red creature that looked like a squid. It was so massive that its tentacles were enough to bind an entire ship. The fucking Kraken is helping him? It spewed a black ink and instantly dyed the surrounding sea black. The few sailor pathway beyonders who were pursuing Klein instantly saw black as their bodies turned numb. Unclear of what was happening, they immediately floated to the surface and dealt with the abnormalities in their body. By the time they dived down again to find the enemy, they already lost Klein. At this moment, Klein was swimming at the bottom of the sea with great satisfaction. He even had the time to divert his attention to recall his failed operation and reflect on what had happened. I had sufficient preparations to act as Helene. Even Tracy, who shared numerous nights with her in the same bed, couldn't instantly see through me. It accelerated the digestion of the potion. During this process, I still had to overcome my aversion and find a way to get into character and be detached. This was extremely helpful to the digestion of the potion. I basically did the best I could for the next battle. It can be considered a prepared performance, but I underestimated the strength of a Sequence 5 and the experience of someone who inched her way to becoming a Vice Admiral. Even though she lost her mystical item in the beginning, just my present strength and mystical item wasn't enough to kill her fast, unless I had used the Sea God Scepter. But that's only around the Rorstad, but this is around the Rorstad Archipelago. Through today's battle, I can clearly tell that I lack a mystical item with powerful offensive abilities. Facing the reality of a failed mission, Klein was in no doubt somewhat disappointed, but he wasn't depressed. This wasn't the end of the matter. He planned on writing to Azek to see if he was interested in the chronicles of ancient chronicles related to death, and if he had time to pay a visit. Klein's gonna go back on Tracy's ship and say, "You might have won, but fight my big brother now, bitch." he's calling his big brother. He's like, I don't know. He's like, you get him. I can't. He's too strong. Klein's true. Klein has 3 abilities, okay? Klein's main ability, call the cops. Secondary ability, call someone stronger. His tertiary ability, become a god or act a god. Those are the 3 options. to call the Godfather, actually. This is like if it was in the actual Godfather books, Godfather movies, it would literally just be, hey Grandpa, I heard this guy, he was talking smack about our family. In reality, the guy just beat his ass and said nothing about the family. No, I heard him talking shit about our family. He said that we weren't shit anymore. I tried to say something, but like he wouldn't listen. And the grandfather was like, "Don't you worry about it. All right, we're gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. A bullet to the fucking head." Okay, yeah. Sorry for that, for everyone who had to listen. Before Klein left the captain's cabin, he snapped his fingers to ignite the male clothing he had left in the changing room, as well as any hair or skin he left behind. You took too long with this joke? Yeah, it was a longer joke, okay? But hey, good comedy routines need some time to breathe, okay? And I'm also coming up with it on the fly. This is not written material. This was to make it seem like he didn't wish to leave any traces, but in fact, it was a form of concealment and deceit. What he was concealing was the hair and button he had secretly thrown into a particular room without anyone noticing. Having wiped away traces of himself, Tracy would mistakenly believe that the assassin was afraid of exposing himself because of fear of suffering a curse. Then it would be difficult for her to seriously get the pirates to check for any remnant items. With the hair and button, Klein could use divination to lock onto the location of the Black Death up to a certain time. This way, as long as Azek was willing, he could bring him to Vice Admiral Tracy. Actually, he's just calling in Big Bro. I originally thought I wouldn't need Azek's help, but I just fell short. This was one of the reasons why he didn't seek Azek's help in the beginning. The other reason was that he wasn't certain that Tracy was in possession of the ancient chronicles of death. If she really didn't have it, it'd be really awkward to have Azek make a trip for nothing. Furthermore, he was worried that even with Azek's help, that he would still need to act as Helene to find the Black Death and Tracy. He still needed to wear her clothes and use himself as bait. That would be embarrassing to do in front of someone he knew. In fact, if it wasn't to obtain intelligence and solely eliminate Tracy, it would have been a lot simpler. Once I swim back to Bayam and go above the Grey Fog, I simply need to lock onto their location and use the Sea God Scepter to create a storm. This isn't to say that a huge area of attack blast will definitely kill Tracy on the spot. But it will attract Sea King Jan Cotman's attention. When the time comes, the Black Death's location would be exposed to the Church of Storm. Sea King will happily take down the Ailment Maiden. Klein shook his head in mockery. With his seer spiritual intuition guiding him, he rapidly swam towards the shore. On the Black Death, Tracy removed layers of her defense and walked to the diamond-inlaid bangle and her damaged, blood-stained clothes. She bent down to pick it up. What a cautious attacker. I might not even be able to compare it to him when I was an assassin. No, I might not even be comparable to her when I was an assassin. No, him. I am tired, insanity, but we got a couple more chapters to read and then I'm going to bed. I think we got like 3 more. All right, have a good night, Merlin. This wasn't because she had nearly died at his hands, but because he had sensed that the man had done something to Helene. According to the way Emperor Roselle puts it, she suspected that there was something green growing on her head. I don't know what that means. Helene, are you really that cold and heartless? No. Perhaps she was forced. Tracy turned her head to look at the nasty wound on her shoulder as she felt a heart-wrenching pain. If not for the strengthening of her physique brought about by the assassin and instigator sequence, with a significance enhancement in subsequent sequences, a green hat. Oh, I see. Just that one blow alone could have made her lose an entire arm. She'd be like those pirates who had their arms blown off by rifles. As the blood flowed and her vision was stained red, Tracy got the blonde attendant to enter and use her abilities to help her deal with her wounds while instructing the surrounding pirates, who had their eyes fixated on her, to search for any items the attacker left behind. Unfortunately, the pirate informed her that all the clothes had been destroyed. This made Tracy recall the snap the enemy made before he left. How careful. And he's not one bit greedy. If he had taken the bangle, then I wouldn't need to worry about catching up to him. A Chinese way of saying someone's getting cheated on? Yeah, someone said this. I think Klein made that joke about Roselle, about him being a cuck. And they explained that to me then, yes. Tracy waved her hand, motioning for most of her pirates to leave, leaving behind Worm-Tongue Mythro King and a few high-ranking members. Third mate, go to Bayam again. Perform a thorough investigation. Find out where the resistance found that Helene, Tracy ordered. With great difficulty, Mythro retracted his gaze. All right. Tracy thought for a moment and added, spread this matter. Say that I'm seriously injured and will not be able to recover anytime soon. First mate, immediately set sail. Don't stay here any longer. As she issued orders, silence was quickly restored around Tracy. Only at this point did she have time to figure out which faction the attacker came from, why he would attack her, and what the motives he had. Unfortunately, the more Tracy thought, the more puzzled she became. She had no idea what the truth was. Although she had many enemies, none of them possessed similar powers. Finally, she found a clue and muttered to herself, creeping hunger? In the middle of the night, in a private harbor on Blue Mountain Island, standing by the receding and advancing waves, was a female figure. She was none other than Klein, still disguised as Helene. He circled her under the water and quickly came to shore. He infiltrated the house of a nearby fisherman and got some tattered clothes before changing into before quickly turning back into Gearman. Before leaving the rather expensive dress as compensation, Klein rapidly left the private harbor and returned to the city of generosity, Bayam. He wasn't in a rush to meet up with Danitz. Instead, he found a random motel to stay in, used a ritual to bring back Azek's copper whistle, other mystical items, and cash back to the real world. After confirming that he could divine the location of the Black Death, he blew the copper whistle. Yay! We're getting Azek back. Let's go. Oh my god, we only have 2 more chapters? We're zipping through today. Nice. I think I'm like 15 minutes ahead of schedule. If I push hard, I might be able to get everything done within the next like 50 minutes. That might be pushing it too much, but fuck it, we can try. No, the thing is, as soon as it gets to fights, I'm so locked in. I like ignore chat because I'm like, oh, holy shit, I really want to know what happened. Because the thing is, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like reading fights for me is really difficult. Like I have a hard time envisioning what's happening. So like if I am reading a sentence and then responding to chat, I'm gonna just I'm not gonna have a fucking clue what the fuck's going on. But if I'm reading it all continuously, I have like a better understanding of it because it's going in the flow. But if I'm flipping back and forth, cooked. Most people are asleep. Oh yeah. Like literally most people I was talking to were like, listen, we're not going to be able to make it. The timing's just fucked. And I was like, I get it. No problem. That and plus, so it's either you're sleeping or it's midday on Sunday and you're doing something, right? So it's all good. I really didn't plan on doing this stream, but since I'm talking to Easy tomorrow, I wanted to be in the same spot he is. So this will leave me like, I think 6 or 7 chapters behind where he is. I can do like a short stream in the morning, 7 chapters. And then that way when we chat, we're about chilling, you know? No one's worried about like spoiling. It's 8 a.m. for me. Good for you. After lowering the copper whistle, Klein activated his spirit vision. He saw the white bones rising from the ground. After a few seconds, the messenger took form. Klein folded the letter he had finished writing and threw it up. He described in detail the tycoon, Jimmy Necker, in the letter. He mentioned the connection between the death chronicles found in the southern continent's Balam Empire mausoleum, as well as the connection to the item he had with Vice Admiral Hurricane and Vice Admiral Tracy. He also mentioned how he had successfully snuck in, and although his assassination failed, he left something behind to track the location of the Black Death. Of course, he didn't go into detail how he snuck in. He only roughly recounted Vice Admiral Tracy's combat technique and style. After the messenger caught the letter with a swipe that could send a human flying, Klein coughed and cleared his throat. I already have a messenger. What? Oh. And then the messenger's body collapsed. You don't have to be afraid of being my messenger anymore, right? Am I that detestable to your kind? These messengers from the underworld probably can't bear to leave Mr. Azek. After all, that's a direct descendant of death. There might not even be any skip in the generational line. You want to cozy up to someone powerful. I get it. Just as Klein was about to pack up and check out when his nose suddenly itched and started sneezing twice and coughing. Mucus flowed out as he coughed. Vice Admiral ailments is still lingering in my body. After I confronted a 10 degrees Celsius cold to return to Bayam, I really fell ill. Klein used inferior tissue papers to wipe his mucus, contemplating whether to summon himself and act as a spirit body state so that his physical body could heal by itself. After some serious consideration, he believed it impossible. Firstly, his physical condition would clearly affect his spirit body's condition. The two were closely related in a magical manner. Second, if he ignored it, his physical condition would definitely worsen. I'm a little dazed from the fever. In the Burge household in the City of Silver, Derek finally obtained the Radiant Spirit Pack tree from the Mam Hermit and concocted the Solar High Priest potion. It was golden in color and had scorching hot temperature. When Derek drank it, he felt a burning sensation in his throat. His eyes lit up as they grew brighter, like there were two miniature suns hidden in them. His body radiated concentric ripples of light as his exposed skin protruded to form black patterns that were visible to the naked eye. At the same time, his body hair grew longer, as though they were changing into feathers that were swirling with golden flames. Derek knew that there would be changes when consuming a potion at sequence 7. He didn't panic or become flustered. He clenched his teeth and repeatedly recalled the pain of him personally killing his parents and the hope that arose from the depths of his heart after meeting the Fool. Despite being on the brink of losing control, he persevered. After a while, everything abnormal about him returned to normal. However, the air he exhaled was mixed with the warmth of the sun. Whoa. He felt that his body had become stronger again, that he had some considerable resistances against ailments and treacherous environments. However, that wasn't the main point. Derek liked the various theurgical knowledge that appeared in his mind. They included the Fire of Light, Horror Immunity, Holy Oath, Cleave of Purification, Sun Halo, Holy Light Summoning, Holy Water Creation, etc. Derek paced around in delight as he felt the related theurgical spells he had were very suitable for him in dealing with the evil monsters that hid in the dark. He didn't hide the news and immediately ran to the Twin Towers and recorded the information of his advancement. This way, after a preliminary inspection, he would have the qualifications to helm a small patrolling team as a captain. He could come into contact with more of the City of Silver's information. This includes the method of removing the mental corruption of a Beyonder characteristic which the world wants. Yes. While Derek was answering the registration clerk's questions, he couldn't help but recall the promise he hadn't been able to fulfill all this time. Owing something to others left him uneasy and uncomfortable, and now he could finally see the light that could restore his calm. Oh, Klein's going to be a Sequence 6 soon, eh? In the Amorous Leaf bar, Worm-Tongue Mythor was holding a cup of wine as he sat across from Ozil. Did he find anything specific? He had been instructed by his captain to return to Bayam and investigate the fake Helene. Ozil pulled out a chair and sat down. They didn't hide anything, but I can't be sure if they're speaking the truth or not. As you know, I prefer speaking fists than brains. They said that Helene was brought over by Blazing Danitz. He represents Vice Admiral Iceberg and hoped to establish a good cooperative relationship with the Resistance. They wanted to provide a certain amount of help, and Helene was a good way to express their goodwill. Blazing Danitz? Vice Admiral Iceberg? Mythor ruminated over the names. As one of Vice Admiral Hurricane's captains, and now the third mate of the Vice Admiral Ailment's ship, he was no stranger to other pirate admirals. And he knew that Vice Admiral Iceberg was powerful and had a rich collection. With just one ship and a few subordinates, she was able to resist the other admirals in terms of strength. She was a little stronger than two of his bosses. More pertinently, Vice Admiral Iceberg seldom involved herself in the conflict between pirates. She sought information and explored the unknowns to seek treasure. She was more like an adventurer than a pirate. Why would she suddenly want to assassinate the captain? That's out of character. She previously suffered a setback because of the Admiral of Blood's rumors. She should be focusing on revenge on him. He stopped thinking about Iceberg and placed his attention on Danitz. As he carefully recalled, his pupils suddenly shrank. He discovered there was a recent problem regarding this fourth boatswain's of the Golden Dream. He laid a trap and killed Steel Mavetti, Blood Brambles Henry, and Com Squall. His bounty was raised quickly to 4,200 and then again to 5,500. This has already exceeded my bounty. Mythor thought to himself about Blazing Danitz. He found him mysterious and terrifying. He advanced? Or did he receive some great benefit because of something? He whispered seriously, I originally treated his bounty increase as a joke, but the reality has informed me that Blazing is a great pirate worthy of a 5,500-pound bounty. Mythor looked up and said to Ozil, help me find intel on Blazing. The recent ones. In the luxurious suite of the Wind Azure Inn, when Danitz opened the door and saw Gehrman, he glanced around warily before making way. How was it? Did you succeed? Vice Admiral Ailment is a famous beauty. Back when I saw her, she was even more charming than I imagined. What a pity if she was to die just like that. She'd be locked up forever without parole. How can she be prettier than the captain? With those with looks like her are plenty in the Red Theater. What the f is Danitz talking about? Is he losing his mind? Klein clenched his fist, placed it towards his mouth before coughing. After calming down, he coldly answered, almost. Ah, what a pity. But deep down, he was thinking, Gehrman is really strong. He infiltrated the Black Death and just fell short of success of killing the Vice Admiral. Even though he failed, he escaped with almost no injuries. One had to know that the reason every pirate admiral was famous through the 5 seas, being second only to the 4 emperors, wasn't only because they were strong, but because of their crews. To be able to escape from the Black Death had indicated Gehrman was in no way weaker than a pirate admiral. Oh my god, you know what this is reminding me of? This is like in One Piece. This is like in One Piece, basically like Garp going up to really strong pirates and just going up and one hitting their ships. Being like, that motherfucker was a strong pirate. I think cannot, motherfucker. Like Gehrman did the same thing. He went up to, he almost soloed a captain with home ground advantage. That's crazy. Is creeping hunger really that powerful? No, even if I was in his shoes with creeping hunger, I couldn't do it. Klein coughed twice again and prepared to instruct Danitz to buy some medicine for him. Then he recalled the cause of his illness was complicated. The medicine provided to him without a doctor's careful examination wouldn't work. If it wasn't because it's impossible to use the Grey Fog to establish a remote treating system, I really wish I could insult Emlyn White to make some medicine. He did a great assassination on an assassin. True. Klein went to the washroom to wash up and change into his original clothes and burn the clothes he got from the fisherman. When he came out, Danitz came over with a paper bag and said, "This is the 700 pounds they gave." At this point, he and Klein heard someone knock on the door. It was Captain Elland. When the captain rushed to the room, he gave Gehrman a deep look and said, "I plan on returning to Prince Harbor, but I got some intel. Something huge happened in Bansancy Harbor." What the fuck happened in Bansancy Harbor? God damn it. Welcome back, username. You're back for the last chapter. We're blazing through today. We are 23 minutes ahead of schedule. I'm in class. Sounds good, Romero. I'm just on the last chapter, buddy. Blazing like Danitz. Okay. Okay. The Church of Storm has finally taken action on Bansancy? What happened? I don't know what exactly happened. I just know that it might have involved the upper echelons of the Church of Storm. After a period of time, and for a period of time before that, all routes that led to Bansancy Harbor were cancelled. This might have been a so-called omen. Have you mastered the procrastination? What happened this stream? Klein's attempted assassination of Vice Admiral Tracy. Klein just returned back, and now we're hearing something happened at Bansancy Harbor. This is the last chapter for today, and then I'm going to bed, and then we're gonna do 7 chapters tomorrow morning, and then a chat with Easy. Involving the upper echelons of the Church of Storm? No, it should be the most elite forces. I suspect that the pontiff of the Church of Storm, that grounded angel, had personally taken action. He might have even used a grade 0 artifact. After all, he might be facing a king of angels, one that's even older than the 4th epoch and his descendants. Klein calmly nodded and asked, "What's the outcome?" He wasn't the least. There's a video you might want to react to. What video is that, DSV? Zero thing. How's it going? Oh, in artwork? Oh, sure, yeah. Okay, I go back to studying, probably. Okay, sounds good, man. Okay. Some meme about Gehrman turning into Helen. Oh, I see. Yeah. If it's in the artwork, I'll definitely react to it. It's been great. I've been reading quite a few chapters last night. Now I'm on 572. Oh, nice. Don't get spoilers though in artwork. I never open spoilers, Khaled. That's not okay. That's not. I don't go in there. That's not for me. He wasn't the least bit surprised that the Church of Storm had only taken action on Bansancy Harbor in the past few days. Even though the mandated punishers were known for being rash and irascible, there was still a protocol that needed to be followed for serious matters. There won't be a Bansancy Harbor for a very long time. There won't be a... What the fuck does that mean? As expected of the Church of Storm, Klein secretly clicked his tongue. He wanted to know whether the Red Angel Medici had appeared and if he really was sleeping near Bansancy Harbor. He wanted to know if he had been wiped out by the Church of Storm and wished to know what happened to the natives. He wanted to know what it meant for them to speak in such a staccato manner, and he wished to know what secrets were hidden in the Green Lemon restaurant and the telegraph office. Unfortunately, with Bansancy Harbor's destruction, it was difficult for him to obtain any actual answers. Perhaps the internal records of the Church of Storm would mention them, but Klein had no way to get them, and with the Hanged Man's rank, there was no way he could get them either. I'll have to nurture the Hanged Man into a high-sequence demigod before I can know the answer. Klein sighed. That place is indeed very dangerous. No, you dumb fuck. Just ask Erides. Ask Erides to show you the raid, like he did with the Amon thing, the Amon mausoleum or whatever. Before he finished his sentence and coughed, "You fell ill?" Ellen asked. He originally imagined that Gehrman was like him, a Beyonder whose physique had been considerably enhanced. It was very unlikely for a Beyonder like them to fall ill before they grew weak from age. But from the looks of it, his guess might have been wrong. Klein answered tersely without giving an explanation. I can recommend you an apothecary that's better than a hospital or clinic. That's his Beyonder job. He has a tiny herb store in an alley diagonally across the Red Theater. He's known for selling male enhancements, but that's not what he's best at. Is this the same guy? Do you remember in Volume 1 there was an apothecary store that closed down, or they said they were like, okay, listen, we gotta move. We're getting a reputation. Could it be the same one? Because they also used to sell male enhancement medicine. Why haven't I heard of them? Danitz asked. He only came to Bayam in the past few months. I'm a fucking god. This is crazy. When was your last visit to the City of Generosity? Ellen asked. When I took your shitty boat, Danitz answered. He carefully recalled and discovered that in the past few months, apart from this period of time, he had passed by Bayam once during his early days of vacation. At other times, he was drifting at sea in search of treasure. Otherwise, he was at other places or harbors, enjoying himself, so it was true that he wasn't aware of any minor changes in the City of Generosity. I've already spent quite a few days in Bayam. I've been to the Red Theater several times, but I have not heard anything about this apothecary. Did Danitz just brag that he had been to a brothel several times? Okay, bro. This can only serve to imply that his male enhancement medicines are limited, Danitz bragged. Ellen smiled and didn't debate the great pirate, and instead said to Gehrman, if it's only an ordinary ailment, the apothecary will only charge a slight premium. And for you, it doesn't matter if it's expensive. What matters most is to recover your health quickly. No adventurer wishes to remain sick. This implies danger and that you might become the target of someone else, and increased risk of losing control. High-sequence potion formulas were... Indeed, maintaining a good state is very important, but the price is important too, right? If the apothecary charges £1,000, I might as well buy medicine from the hospital. Or I can describe the situation of my illness and get that vampire Emlyn White to make me some medicine. Although I already have £6,000 in savings and several Beyonder characteristics, I still need to be considerate. I still want to add a mystical item with lethal offensive power and seek out clues to high-sequence potion formulas, Klein mumbled. High-sequence potion formulas were impossible to put a price on in this mysterious world. Therefore, Klein only thought of buying the relevant clues. After Ellen left, Klein took the £700 and gave Danitz £200. While wearing his hat and holding his cane, he coughed and wiped the snot from his nose before stepping out the door to take a carriage. Danitz was very curious about the apothecary's medicine. He pasted 2 mustaches on his face, wore a cap, and followed. With Klein's guidance, he already knew that a scarf to hide his face was an act that strongly attracted attention, and he took his advice to buy some fake mustaches. Why did he post Why did he put on 2 fake mustaches? What? In the alley diagonally across from the Red Theater, the moment Klein entered, he saw a man fervently come out of the nameless herb store. The moment the man saw someone, he lowered his head and rushed off. Don't worry, we won't be guessing what medicine you're buying, Klein coughed. He scanned the area and was surprised because the boss was someone he knew. The boss was wearing a black robe that resembled a village witch doctor. He was in his 30s with black hair, brown eyes. His face was round and his body chubby. He was none other than the chubby apothecary who liked to use sarcasm at the gatherings held by the old Mr. I of Wisdom. Fuck. Okay, it's not the guy I thought. Never mind. I retract all my previous statements. He stopped showing up to old Mr. Eye of Wisdom because he left Backland? Klein coughed and took 2 steps forward. Make some medicine for me. On the chubby apothecary's shoulder stood a round-eyed owl. The man and the bird looked up at the same time at Klein. After a brief examination, the apothecary revealed a smile. Friend, it's cold outside. Don't do those deeds out in the open. Although it's true it can be rather exciting. What the fuck? Klein was first stumped before he understood what he was getting to. When battling Tracy, I was influenced by her pleasure powers. Blood flowed to my nether regions and my desires undulated. This resulted in my body emptying out, making it faster and easier for the ailment to strike. When escaping, the ice-cold sea was fine since I took the surgical potion protecting me, but the wind on the way back was very cold. It worsened my sickness. In conclusion, doesn't this look like a result of getting sick due to having pleasure out in the open? Affected by pleasure powers, yeah. As expected of an apothecary. He has sharp eyes. Danitz, what dog shit? Danitz turned his head to look at the herb store as he held back laughter. What dog shit apothecary is this? He can't even distinguish the ailments released by the ailment maiden, he thought in glee. When the chubby apothecary didn't get a response, he duly opened some cabinets, took out some common and strange herbs, and stuffed them into a paper bag and handed it over. Put it all in water and cook it for an hour. Drink the liquid that's left over. 4 soli. It's a little expensive. Klein glanced at Danitz. 4 soli and he's gonna complain about it? This motherfucker has 6,000 pounds and another probably, I don't know, 10,000 that he has the ability of getting very soon. And he's gonna be like, 4 soli? That seems a little expensive. You fucking penny pincher, cheap ass. Get the fuck out of here. The latter immediately took out the money. Besides, he's not even paying for it. What are you hassling him for? As the chubby apothecary collected the money, he bent his back and suppressed his voice and said, I have medicine that can make you stand out in that area. The kind that has mummy powder added. Need it? I know you might be very strong, but men always seek to be stronger. Firstly, I need a girlfriend. Klein coldly shook his head and rejected the apothecary's recommendation. The chubby apothecary straightened his back in disappointment. He turned his gaze and said, Are you both adventurers? Yes, Klein replied. I have a request, but you'll only be paid after completing it. How big is the reward? Klein asked. 100 pounds. Help me find someone. His name is Roy King. He's my teacher. He got me to meet him here, but I haven't seen him after waiting for a few months, and I have no way of contacting him. This fucking Roy King is the apothecary I'm thinking of. That's why. Okay, you know what? I'm counting this as a 50-50, okay? I'm not counting it as a win, but I'm also not counting it as a loss. I was close. With all the information I had, I still would have made that same divination, so fuck it. Is there a portrait or a photograph? Klein inquired. The apothecary took out a photograph and handed it over. It was a relatively young man. His hair was neatly combed back and he wore glasses. He appeared very gentlemanly. Your teacher? Klein asked. I might believe it if you're the teacher. The chubby apothecary coughed dryly and said, he's at least 60, but he looks young. A beyonder power or a mystical item? Klein nodded in thought before asking for specifics. After confirming there wasn't any item he could use for divination, he took the paper bag and left. After he disappeared from the alley, the owl standing on the chubby apothecary's shoulder said, Darkwill, that guy might know you. Owl, yes, true. Okay, let's look at the artwork and then sleepy time. Oh god. I'm not sure if you remember or not, but this is what the chubby apothecary said about his teacher in the past. He only taught me a few things about the herbs and gave me the beast tamer formula and kicked me out and disappeared without giving me a way to contact him. I don't remember that, but thank you, Dr. Z. Okay, artwork channel. We're so back, baby. We're so back. Look at that. We're 30 minutes ahead. Oh, this is so good. Oh, this is great. I love this. Oh my god. Oh, that's amazing. That is so good, dude. This is so good. I don't know who made this. Props to the artist, man. That looks dope. That looks so cool. Oh, dude, you guys this community is so good. You guys are so creative. Oh my god. He looks so pretty. What am I? What is happening? Ah. This is Vice Admiral Ailment. Dennett's sticking the tongue out. Dennett's is like, damn, I only have eyes for the captain, but damn, shorty, I might make an exception. This is so good. I love this. Oh, this is amazing. Of Helene and I don't think so. Not breezy unless you want to crop a frame out.
You know that flapping thing you were doing with your mouth just then?
You mean expressing my opinion?
Yeah, that. No more of that. You know that flapping thing you were doing with your mouth just then?
You mean expressing my opinion?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, no more of that, motherfucker, okay? That's not what I'm here. You're here to wash my fucking clothes. What do you think this is, huh? You think I'm here because I want your valuable insight, you dumb fuck? No. Wash my clothes, wipe my feet, bitch. This is so good. Is this the... Is this the one that you were referring to, Dr. Z? No? This is quite good, though. I assume this is Klein as Helene, Helena, Helena? What the fuck was Helena? But as a guy, this is so confusing. Okay. All right. I will oh, Helene. Yes, thank you, username. Okay. Okay, that's it. I will give you guys some time to find the find the artwork before tomorrow. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm so sleepy. Alright, thank you everyone for another fantastic stream. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Oh, yeah, this one? Oh, the last one. Oh, this one. Okay. That is, yeah. That is something. Okay. Just two dudes, you know, just hanging out, you know, as bros do, having a good time, really. Yeah, you know, just if you can't kiss your homies goodnight, you know, what's it all for, really? Yeah, thanks for that. Love that. All right, have a good night, everyone, or a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys soon.